Krabs was just a number in the Michigan program. But last week, with the season opener on the line and the hopes of his coach and 110,000 riding on his right leg, number 34 won the game with a 44-yard field goal and became the Wolverines state's latest football hero. Welcome to Big Ten football from ESPN Plus, presented to you by National City Bank and its 30,000 employees who care about doing what's right for you. The Western Michigan Broncos have made the trip east to Ann Arbor to take on the 7th-ranked Michigan Wolverines. Hi, everybody. Along with Charles Arbuckle, I'm Wayne Larrabee. Great to have you with us. And in these parts, they are still talking about that pulsating win over Washington a week ago. And Charles, you know, in the end, Michigan not only found a field goal kicker, but a feature back in Chris Perry.
Wayne, they've been looking for a guy like Chris Perry since last year. He was nicked up. He knew he could play. So in the offseason, he got in shape, got strong, got lean. 57-yard touchdown, second play of the game. That is what they expect out of Chris Perry. But not only that, has the ability down by the goal line because of the quick feet and the moves to really get into the end zone quickly. 3 touchdowns last week. That shows that great offseason work.
Career high 120 yards rushing. Meanwhile, Western Michigan is a team that would like to run the football here today, but don't make any mistake about it. This is a pass-first, run-second team. To that end, they'll play 2 quarterbacks, John Drock and Chad Munson.
That's your best offense, Wayne. They don't have a feature back at Western Michigan, so they have to go to quarterback. Drock, 46 snaps, only 1 touchdown. Munson, 29 snaps, 4 touchdowns. It may be a quarterback controversy in Western Michigan. We'll see how this pans out today.
Well, no matter who the quarterback is, they'll face a formidable Michigan defensive front that led the nation in sacks a year ago, and a week ago roughed up Washington quarterback Cody Pickett.
Dan Rumashek plays with great leverage. He's always around the football, especially in the backfield. But Victor Hobson, they'll move him around. He plays everywhere. They'll come with zone blitzes. But when Victor hits you, you know he hits you.
We're going to see some good tight ends on the field here today, and one of the best in the country, Mobilaji Aferiogun for Western Michigan, is a true talent.
Mobilaji Aferiogun, I'm glad you said it right because I always follow you. But 8 catches last year for 90 yards. They need to get him in the end zone. He also has to work in those 10 to 15-yard areas for this offense to be effective against Michigan.
It is a beautiful, warm, sun-splashed afternoon. Better than 100,000 on hand to watch intrastate rivals do battle on the hallowed grounds of Michigan Stadium. The University of Michigan, the Michigan marching band plays. Moments ago, the Wolverines in their traditional entrance to Michigan Stadium. Today's game brought to you by Tenneco Automotive. Our symbol is 10. Our mission is go. The conditions for this afternoon's game, a warm late summer afternoon to say the least. It is sun-splashed here. About 75 degrees, expected to get into the 80s. Humidity right up there at about 66%. Charles Arbuckle, you're from the Houston area originally. That's nothing for you. This is a cool day for you.
But when you live somewhere, you get so accustomed to being in the Midwest. This is unseasonably warm, but you got to get used to it. And I think these fans, as well as the teams, are ready to play in this nice, beautiful weather.
And there's a look at it. Better than 100,000 again on hand. And it's been that way every Michigan game here since 1975. As we near the anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks, we pause for a special ceremony. And in a moment, we'll be joining Michigan Stadium public address announcer Howard King for that ceremony. These two teams met the week following the tragedies last year, and it was an eerie feeling here at Michigan Stadium. Everybody was here for a football game, but it wasn't quite the same. It didn't have the same kind of feel and enthusiasm, and understandably so. Everyone was just wondering, as the coaches were saying, just what should we do? Let's join Howard King. As we pause for a moment of silence in remembrance of the events of September 11, 2001.
Thank you. As our flag is raised, we invite you to stand and join in singing as Dr. Robert Flatley, Director of Bands at Western Michigan University, leads the Michigan Marching Band in our national anthem.
Michigan Broncos, led by head coach Gary Darnell. In his 6th season, he has guided the Broncos to a pair of MAC West Division titles and has won more games than any Western Michigan University coach over a 5-year period. On the other sideline, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, Lloyd Carr, in his 8th season, has led Michigan to 6 consecutive January 1st bowl games and the 1997 Co-National Championship, undefeated at 12-0. So a couple of outstanding coaches getting together here. The last time these two teams met was a year ago, as I mentioned, the week following the September 11th tragedies. And it proved to be a pretty interesting ball game. Western Michigan put some points and some yardage, some big numbers, over 350 yards passing on the board against Michigan. There is the brief series history. You know, they had gone for 30-some years without playing before meeting last year and again this season. And there are the captains meeting out of the 50-yard line. Steve Newman will be the referee. And here's the coin toss. Michigan wins the toss, defers its decision. A perplexed look on the officials' faces for a moment. And now we'll get the complete decision.
Illinois University will receive at the north.
Did he say Western Illinois?
I think he did.
Wow. Bronco fans will take exception to that. Charles Arbuckle, how about some keys? And we'll begin with the visitors from Kalamazoo.
Well, when you're Western Michigan, you have a lot, but one, pass sets up the run. You have to pass the ball, but you also have to run it, try to keep some balance. And stuff Michigan run game, we talked about Chris Perry. If you don't stop him, you don't stop this Michigan offense. On the Michigan side, don't build a dagwood too high. They have games sandwiched. They have Washington, then Western, then Notre Dame, then Utah. Build the sandwich small. Don't put too much mayonnaise or mustard on it so you can eat it, and just kicking it. The kicking game has to be effective. They were only 1 of 4 last week, and the one that they made was the game winner, but you want to have more consistency throughout the game.
I was going to ask you about that mayo on the dagwood there. It's needless calories, Charles. You don't need that mayo.
Well, let's go with the light mayo.
Okay. The Wolverines will kick. Jennings dropping back deep. Greg Jennings for Western Michigan. And these teams out of the MAC conference are very representative. We'll show you a little bit later on some of the big wins by MAC schools in recent years over the major schools, so to speak, the major conference schools. Philip Rabs has it on the tee. Great to have you with us. Western Michigan will accept at its 20-yard line to begin the proceedings here this afternoon.
Wayne, no one has ever questioned Brad's leg. You can see right there. That's what they need to have out of him, but also more consistency in the field goal game.
John Drox Jr., St. Charles, Illinois. He's been playing with a tender elbow. Not bad numbers at all last week in the win over Indiana State. Take a look at our starting lineups brought to you by National City Bank. Philip Reed will carry the load in the offensive backfield. He'll get some help. Jermaine Lewis is a player we're watching in the wide receiving corps, and we mentioned Aferiogun earlier. 1st and 10 for the Broncos. Empty backfield. And too much time, I believe.
Western Michigan is going to force Michigan to come out and play in a nickel package, which is not a big problem.
5-yard penalty remains first down
for this Michigan defense.
The offensive line. And there they are. They are undersized, led by Jake Gassaway, the senior center out of Lowell, Indiana. And the Michigan defensive line, Rumashek, we mentioned him. Hoyer, Lazarus, Shante Ord, very active up front. 1st and 15. Again, they go empty. Pass a little bit too low for Philip Reed to make the play on it. Marlon Jackson ranging up from the secondary. Michigan's linebackers very good indeed. They may have one of the best crews in the country. And they will test Western Michigan's offense. But Hobson, Diggs, Kaufman, the new starter in the middle, played very well last week. Marlon Jackson is a star. They say maybe the next Charles Woodson in that defensive secondary.
Hey, come on, we can't see.
2nd and 15 for Western. John Drock, good time. Aferiogun, the tight end, stiff-arming his way past Charles Drake out to the 28-yard line, about 2 yards short of the first down, 13-yard gain.
Those are the kind of things that you have to do as Western Michigan. You offset one side, you bring the tight end on the other side, and look, Carl Diggs tries to come over and get him, but he's not able to get there. And then you see Mobilaji Aferiogun. You got to get those pads down because Drake will come up and strike you. These guys from Michigan, all of them are familiar with each other. Even though it's Western Michigan, they played a lot against each other in high school.
3rd and 2. Aferiogun in motion. Blitz coming. They picked it up well. And wide open Aferiogun. Across the Western Michigan 45-yard line. It is a 1st and 10, not a 17-yard gain. Cato June made the stop downfield.
How many times do we see that in high school, college, or football? I mean, in pro football, you see the tight end getting open. Why? Because the linebackers are so keen on getting there. Mobilaji comes on that dig route across the middle, the play-action play, just enough to suck those linebackers in. 2 catches on the first drive. That's what you have to have out of him.
He got a great block by Philip Reed on the blitz pickup to make that play happen. First down for Western, and now they go with the draw. Reed to the outside. First down for Reed. Inside Michigan territory and ushered to the chalk marks by Cato June. First down inside the 35-yard line on a 19-yard gain.
Great job of pass setting up the run. Now you go with the draw game. Look at the blocking inside. These guys aren't real big, but they're able to move, and when you offset him, look at Philip Reed. Looks like he's trying to get his balance and stay in bounds and pick up as many yards as he can. Great block right there by Chris Montgomery and Jake Gassaway of starting that ball, and Philip Reed doing an excellent job of running.
He had just 24 yards on 15 carries a week ago against Indiana State. First down at the Michigan 35. Reed again gets a nice block on the flank of the play. Decent yardage inside the 30 to the 28-yard line, where Zach Kaufman and Sean Lazarus collaborate.
It looks like Michigan does not look like they've even come here. It looks like they expect a 1 o'clock kickoff, and the guard pulling right here. Great job by big number 67, Kevin Kramer, out front. That's what you have. Victor Hobson is a guy he's looking for. We've seen him on film missing that block. You have to pick it up against this Michigan defense.
Second down, a little bit less than 3 yards to go. 4 receivers set. And again, the tight end, Aferiogun in motion. This time the fake to Reed. Drock over the middle, had a man open wide of the mark. Pass intended for the quick little receiver on that play, Antonio Thomas, the junior out of South Bay, Florida.
The offensive line, Wayne, is doing a very good job of just setting and keeping people outside, creating a nice pocket for Drock to just step into. Even there, he had a little pressure, but it's coming from the outside. And you expect the interior guys like Lazarus and Hoyer to get after him more efficiently.
So now, kind of a trick formation here. The offensive line to one side of the field, the center and quarterback alone. Where do you think they're going here? I think they're going to the top of your screen. Nope, they're going right over the middle, and they get it nicely. First down for Western Michigan to the Michigan 22-yard line. And that time they're able to isolate a guy we're going to see a lot of, and that, of course, is Jermaine Lewis.
If you look on your screen, everybody's to the right, and then Jermaine Lewis sneaks across. He's an awful fast receiver. Big and tall, played secondary last year, played a free safety, but they expect a lot of catches out of him. And what it is, Gary Darnell once, twice, maybe 3 times a game will do something like this.
3 receiver set, 2 backs. First down at the Michigan 22. Drock and Reed bumped into each other on that exchange, kind of a sloppy exchange, but a gain of 2 down to the 20-yard line as Reed fell forward and Hoyer and Lazarus were there.
Well, Wayne, helmets are flying. Hoyer's helmet comes off. The thing I like about Reed already this week is that he's running forward and powerful. He's not wasting time in the hole. And Drock is doing an excellent job of just taking his time, making the clock run down. Michigan will probably have to come with the blitz. They have not come with one yet today.
Reed 3 carries, 30 yards. And Western Michigan second down. Drock, quick toss on the receiver screen. That went nowhere. Jermaine Lewis bottled up by Shante Orr and Dan Rumashek. And maybe a 2-yard gain, leaving third down at about 6.
Well, if you question his toughness right there, he's going to come right into Rumashek. And this drive is just taking a lot of time, Wayne. They're doing exactly what they want to do in this ball game.
Controlling the clock, mixing the pass very well with the run. And they have no doubt run effectively so far in this drive, and they seem to be getting a good push with that offensive line. 4 receivers set. Reed long setback. Western Michigan 2 of 2 on third downs. They're not going to be 3 for 3. Reed on a counter move off the right side. Shante Orr equal to the task. Virtually no gain. And the field goal unit comes on for Western.
I'm really surprised at that play because I thought at how they were passing the ball, they would really go over the middle, either to the tight end or even Reed across the middle of the field.
Michigan blocked a pair of kicks last week against Washington. And this will be about a 35-yard, a little bit more than 35-yard field goal attempt. Robert Menchinger, a sophomore from Elkhart, Indiana. And he has pushed it to the right side. No good. So Menchinger pushed it to the right side. Michigan's defense has held. The Wolverine offense coming up.
What is it?
Western Michigan took almost 4.5 minutes off the clock, but did not score and almost got a field goal blocked a few moments ago.
Shante Orr did this last week in the PAT and put his hand up. Didn't quite get there, but you can see Menchinger pushes it off because he sees that pressure up the middle from him and Sean Lazarus.
Orr blocked a kick last week. Here's the quick toss. Braylon Edwards on first down fumbles the football and still up for grabs and out of bounds, or did they recover it on the sidelines? It is Michigan football. They'll bring it back to the spot of the fumble as he fumbled it forward.
If you remember last week, Braylon Edwards was the same person that fumbled and Tyrese Butler recovered. He carries that ball awful loose. They have to tell him ball security because you cannot afford to give the ball up like that.
Now let's see where they spot the football. It should be about at the 26, and that's where they place it down. No score. First quarter here at Michigan Stadium. John Navard quarterback. Chris Perry. B.J. Askew the setbacks, and here's Chris Perry. Good change of direction. Lots of running room. into Bronco territory to the 40-yard line of Western Michigan. Tony Carr finally got him out. What a cutback move by Chris Perry.
Wayne, twos are good for Chris Perry because this is the second play in the second game, and he does it again like he did in the first game. There was so much pressure inside from Western Michigan thinking Chris Perry's coming up the middle. That's where he did his damage before, but you see the speed that he has. He can get outside as well. Great job by him of reading that and going outside where there's no one there.
Had a 57-yard run last week against Washington. At 36 on that one. On first down. Perry again to the 34-yard line. Take a look at the backs and receivers, and we'll begin with John Navarre at quarterback. And last week he started his third season opener at Michigan. First quarterback since Elvis Gerbach to do that. The backs and receivers brought to you by National City Bank. Chris Perry, the big game last week. Askew had 7 receptions out of the backfield last week. And we're going to see some of Benny Japrou, the tight end. We're looking forward to that. They're going to try to feature him a little bit more. Edwards in motion. Perry. Good ahead of steam, close to the first down, about 2 yards short at the 31-yard line. Smith made the stop on the play. Michigan offensive line. And they've got some size on this line, but Morgan, Bass, Pearson, Petrozello was a former defensive lineman, Tony Pape. And they have not just size, but they can move. Meanwhile, Western Michigan undersized on that defensive line, but they are very quick, including Jason Babin is the guy. They'll move around a lot. He'll make things happen out there. Very good player. Third down for Michigan. Working on the ground, Chris Perry. Nice move made by Sam Reynolds, the quarterback, in run support, but it appears Perry has the first down. The linebackers for Western Michigan, Brian Lape and Jason Mallory. Lape, a former walk-on, and 13 tackles against Michigan in this game last year. And then in the secondary, Carr and Reynolds, but Feldposh plays more like the old rover back. Play up close to the line pretty much. They'll drop them back in coverage on occasion. They actually start with 5 defensive backs. First down. Navarre to the air. Lots of time. Got a man open. Tyrese Butler with a first and goal just inside the 10-yard line. Western Michigan, he beats Sam Reynolds to the chalk mark.
The toughest thing about this offense that you see, and as well as the defense, they play a 4-4. That's Western Michigan. It's awful difficult because it gives you a lot of areas to throw the football. John Navarre with the play-action pass. You see the linebackers and Feldspot going in, and then that causes all kind of passing windows. Look, there's no one in sight until he catches the ball. That's what Michigan wants to do, play in and play out.
First and goal off a 20-yard gain. Chris Perry with a convoy of blocking. Got maybe a yard out of that. Good pursuit by Western Michigan. As we mentioned, they're not big, but they are quick. And Jason Babin was quick to the ball there, along with the cornerback Sam Reynolds.
And the point about the 4-4 is like when you see a 3-4 team in the pros and they go to a 4-3 look that they are used to seeing. You have to get used to blocking that front. And when they move Feldspot around, who Gary Darnell calls the Energizer Bunny, and Babin, who's an outstanding player, it makes it tough for the offense to find out where their guys are.
Michigan loads up on tight ends. Blitz coming. Chris Perry right into the teeth of that blitz, and down he goes. He picked up maybe 2 yards to the 7-yard line. And a good defense called for the play they had offensively.
If he had worked outside when the blitz is coming from the right side of your screen, if you look to the left, there's no defenders out there but one. Chris Perry can take him on easier, but when he goes in the teeth of the defense, they grab him, and that's why they're able to stop him there for a short game.
Another third down and goal to go. They've got it marked to the 8-yard line. Chris Perry got most of those 46 yards on one run. Third down for Navarre. 3 receivers set. Askew the lone back. Navarre quickly over the middle. Fingertip grab. Touchdown, Benny Japrou.
It only makes sense playing tight end to see these tight ends play like this. Mobilaji Ferrioga and then Japrou, who last week was open quite a bit. We watched film on him. We said he's going to be a go-to guy today, and you can see why. Great hands, great moves off the line, and snagged the ball in for 6 by Big Japrou.
Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, called him a real gem, and they would like to get the ball into his hands a little bit more often, and they do it early here today. Philip Brabs, last week's hero, adds the point after. Michigan scores first on its initial offensive possession. And with 7:08 to go in this first quarter, Navarre to the tight end, Japru. Pretty play. Western Michigan took the opening drive, went about 4.5 minutes, but failed to score on a missed field goal. Michigan comes right back, and they work 9 plays, go 80 yards. Just 3 minutes 23 seconds. Time of possession. Benny Japru is pretty a touchdown catch, as you'll see a tight end make.
It was a nice catch, Wayne. I mean, he caught it with his hands. He was, Navarre made a quick decision, went right to the middle of the field where it was open. Great job by those two guys.
Greg Jennings back deep. Philip Brabs has it on the tee. Good leverage into this kick. Jennings will have a shot. Straddling the goal line. Hits the seam hard. Jennings out close to the 30-yard line. Moments ago.
Japru's out split. You see the middle of the field open. Navarre goes to the right side, works back in. There's a linebacker covering him. He should beat Bryant. He should beat late every single time. You see right here, he's going to work. Look at this excellent throw. Just putting it where only the receiver can catch it. Japru, nice hands. The scouts love it when the tight end catches with his hands.
Jason Malloy, the linebacker in front of that play, almost broke it up. Went high into the air to get it, but Navarre had enough mustard on it to get it there. First down for Western, now trailing 7-0. John Drock on a roll under pressure. Down he goes. Lazarus was there, among others, on that sack. Rumashek.
You can't roll out against this defense and expect to just find a place because they are so quick. They get to the ball so fast. Drock has done a great job of getting rid of the ball, but right here you hold it. That force inside contained by Zach Kaufman, he brings him back to his buddies. All my friends are going to help me make my plays. That's what Zach Kaufman says right there.
Loss of 10, 2nd and 20. Reed, the man in motion. Quick toss on the slant. Jermaine Lewis gets the 10 yards back out to the 30-yard line. They're mentioning that last week, of course, Marlon Jackson went one-on-one with the potential All-America receiver Reggie Williams of Washington. And Michigan said that this week they're not going to assign any specifics. One cornerback will play the right side, one will play the other side. You won't have a man-to-man situation quite like that.
Well, Western Michigan comes in with 75 to 80 plays, and they do a lot of multiple formations, so it makes it hard for Jackson to be matched up one-on-one with Jermaine Lewis.
There's Lewis. Drock is 5 of 7, 46 yards. He's got a 3rd and 10. Juggled and dropped. Jeremy LeSueur made sure that Brandon Johnson would not be able to latch onto that one. Near the 35-yard line, it's 4th down.
This is where they get you. They get you in the 3rd and long, and then they bring that pressure, and Drock has to move around. Even if he catches the football, he's not going very far. LeSueur is right there. The problem with this is you've got to get those opportunities when you have them. You either have to score or you have to pick up positive yards on every single play against this Michigan defense.
Adam Anderson on a punt formation. Julius Curry back deep. Anderson, a walk-on, had 4 punts of 50-plus yards last week. Penalty marker down here. Violation of the halo rule. This will not stand up. Penalty markers all over the play. Punt was muffed. Feldposh appeared to violate the 2-yard halo rule. And let's take a look at it again. 33-yard punt.
You got to give that guy 2 yards. And although Feldposh may say he got pushed, but you still have to pull up. You cannot get that close to the receiver. You got to allow him 2 yards.
There's the interference call against Western Michigan. The halo rule is one that has been debated at long and hard recently.
Well, so many judgment calls on the halo rule.
Kick catch interference on the kicking team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the first down.
So it's a 10-yard penalty this time. Gary Darnell and company trailing 7-0 at the Big House against Michigan. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+. get splattered somewhere. Michigan 2 for 2 on third down conversions. Navarre off to a 4 for 5 start. 42 yards and a touchdown. Chris Perry gets the first down and more. To the 35. Taken down out of bounds. I beg your pardon, not Chris Perry.
B.J.
Askew gets the call.
This is the versatility of B.J. Askew. Look at the line moving over blocking. He wants to work left, but he cuts back right. And B.J. Askew, we asked Terry Malone, if you lose this guy, what kind of effect would it have on your team? It's like losing 4 people because he's great in pass pro, great running the football, great blocking, and also can catch the ball. 7 catches last week.
Penalties against Michigan for a hold.
I think it's going to be on Tyrese Butler. They threw it out there by the receiver.
On the far sideline, yeah.
You know, sometimes that happens. The defensive backs will get into a receiver and then they'll just try to turn. They'll try to turn on you. And, you know, he's blocking them, has them locked up. And when the receiver, the defensive back moves, the receivers aren't used to going out there and staying with them. They're used to using the arms. And that right there is just enough for them to call a penalty.
Now, again, the hold occurred downfield. And now it leaves a third down for Michigan, an inches situation. So instead of getting the first down deeper in Western territory, they've got a third down and short. David Underwood is the tailback. Sanderson the fullback. Penalty markers all over the play. It looked like Western jumped into the neutral zone. I don't know if they were drawn off by the Michigan offensive line. Lloyd Carr mentioned something to us. He said that one thing he really liked about his team last week was they didn't have any procedure penalties in that big game against Washington.
Prior to the snap, defense offside in the neutral zone by contact. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Michigan gets the first down eventually by penalty. Ryan Arillo, the man apparently who jumped into the neutral zone. So 1st and 10 to the 38-yard line of Western Michigan. Minery, a former quarterback at tight end, in motion. Underwood picks up about 3 yards, maybe 4.
They really want to see David Underwood get an opportunity to run the football. A little bit banged up last year, as well as with Chris Perry. You know, these two guys, they expect a lot out of them. And Big Sean Sanders, once again, lined up in front. Michigan will use a lot of different packages to get different people in the ball game today.
Also going to see Tim Bracken possibly today. Bracken, a highly regarded recruit 2 years ago out of White Castle, Louisiana. Suffered a broken leg and a bad break. It wiped out what would have been a redshirt freshman year. Stumbling catch made here by Calvin Bell for short yardage. A pickup of about 4, and Michigan will face another third down.
Calvin Bell will get an opportunity today because Ronald Bellamy is out, and he had 1 catch last week for 28 yards. He's a talented receiver. Look at this. This is awful hard to do, body control. If he can almost was able to put the hand down and continue on.
Again, Ronald Bellamy, a shoulder injury, not playing here today. That's Benny Japrout to the top of your screen. On third down, he comes in motion. Navarre looking that way. And he's got the big tight end once again for a first down to the 24-yard line.
It always amazes me, Wayne, when a tight end or a receiver comes in motion and he tends to get lost in the traffic. The play-action pass of just faking the ball. Michigan loves to do this. Underwood, just a quick play-action pass, but Navarre sees him open so wide right away. He's reading the progression high, medium to low. He has a medium receiver wide open. You get the ball to him for a nice gain.
They were mentioning they've changed the way the quarterbacks here at Michigan are reading the progressions, and that's, you know, again, that's something that Navarre will adjust to as the season goes along. First down. That's Braylon Edwards in motion. Underwood. Nowhere to go this time. Western Michigan stacked it up very well. Westgate over there, along with Gittler and Babin rather.
That was just a good defensive call by Western. They had another kind of a blitz, run blitz or zone blitz, and that side on the left side of the line of scrimmage for Michigan was all tangled up and nowhere for Underwood to run.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Navarre now 6 of 7, 53 yards passing, and the touchdown to Japrout. In the final 3 minutes, first quarter. Little play action once again. Braylon Edwards First and goal at the Western 4-yard line. He beat Tony Carr to the corner. 23-yard gain.
This offense is showing a lot of different versatility and ability to play action. The play action is so important. It sucks everyone in, and then you are able to get the ball out to Braylon Edwards. Great job by him of running routes. He does such a smooth job. They have him listed at one time, but I keep looking at him, and he's always creating space for himself with that speed.
It's the kind of guy who may not test out very well on your stopwatch, but in the game, he's running under 4.4. Sanderson, the big fullback, in motion. Here comes Underwood. Touchdown, Michigan.
Just straight power football. This is what you expect out of a Michigan ball club. They will come at you. They'll throw the football, but it's all predicated on that powerful running game. And with big Sean Sanderson moving, he blasts. And then David Underwood gets it in for 6.
Underwood, the sophomore out of Madisonville, Texas. Brabs for the point after. And Michigan extends its advantage. 10 plays, 53 yards on the scoring break. And for those of you on the network line, we are replaying our last commercial break. And we trust our network stations. Got that last break back in. We knew we would. We'd have another score, get that break in. We had to come back early on a previous one, but Underwood on the score. And Michigan extends its advantage to 14-0. Little Brabs deep into the end zone and through, and Jennings does not have an opportunity. Western Michigan will begin their drive at the 20-yard line. There it is, very efficient, 53 yards in 10 plays. The big play that set it up was the pass play to Braylon Edwards down to the 4-yard line.
They want to give him some touches. They want to make sure he gets down the field, and that power in the middle. Though you got to give credit to that offensive line on that last touchdown.
So Western Michigan, 1st and 10. Penalty markers all over the start of this play. Saw some jumping on both sides. Looks nearly a missed snap. It looked like an awkward snap.
Prior to the snap, outside by contact on the defense. 5-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
And
the reason there was an awkward snap, Michigan was in the neutral zone.
And I also think the center wanted to get it up quick because he had people in the neutral zone, and that's what centers are supposed to do. Get the ball up to the quarterback, get him off sides.
3 receivers set. Jermaine Lewis, bottom of your screen. Reed in motion, empty backfield. Brock on his own. And he slides to a stop just short of the first down near the 29-yard line. Lazarus coming in to make the hit for Michigan.
This is where Drock has gotten smarter. Last year when he first started, he would run and try to take on defenders. But you can't do that against these linebackers or sometimes the big safeties. So if you don't have it, live to see another day and then get down. Don't take the big shots because the big guys are coming from behind, the little guys are coming from in front, and you'll take it in the middle.
Chad Munson looking on, junior from Lakewood, California. Very impressive last week in the win over Indiana State, hitting 14 of 19 passes. We'll see him before the day's out. At least that's what we've been told. Second and short. Reed in traffic. Got that first down pretty much on his own as he went over Victor Hobson to get it.
You know, Wayne, I've been impressed by Western Michigan's line on short yardage plays. They have been able to pick up yardage. You got Fred McCants at 6'6", 330. Kevin Kramer, 6'4", 289. Jake Gassaway, 6'3", 282. And big number 68, Chris Montgomery. They're all pretty nice sized guys, but they don't have a lot of experience in playing as a unit.
They got a couple of big ones in there, Charles, but otherwise they're undersized, but they're quick. And there's something to be said for that. Now, what do we have? A timeout called by John Drock. He needed to talk with his coach for a moment. Actually, the man who called the timeout was Greg Jennings on the far side. So maybe they weren't sure either on the play or maybe the personnel group in the game. But they take a timeout with 1:24 to go in this first quarter. MAC teams have been challenging Big Ten teams and major college programs over the last several years with some success. But last week, take a look at it. Northern Illinois went on the road, beat Wake Forest in overtime. Miami of Ohio, that's a nice win at North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, Wake Forest aren't going to threaten to win the ACC, but nonetheless. And Central Florida really hung in well against Penn State up at State College.
And that also helps the conference as far as the MAC, the University of Central Florida. They've been an honorary member for the last 5 or 6 years, playing MAC teams. And with them being there now, you see this Western Michigan team, how many Floridians they have, Marshall. So all of the MAC schools are now having to recruit because they've tried so long to recruit against the Michigans and the Ohio States. They figure if we go outside and get some of these kids out of Texas, Florida, and California, we can be more effective.
Gary Darnell, what a job he's done with this program up at Kalamazoo. As we mentioned before, has won a couple of Western Division crowns in the MAC Conference. First down, Western Michigan at the Bronco 31. Drock with a short set. Trying to go over the top, and the pass overthrown, intended for a well-covered Brandon Johnson down the sidelines. Marcus Curry was there, along with Julius. Marcus and Julius Curry, and a couple of brothers getting the start. It's been a while since two brothers have had an opportunity to start together in the Michigan program. You'd have to go back to 1986 when Todd and Tim Schulte started. Of course, they for years had brother combinations here with the Mallorys and the Hammersteins.
That's amazing. Two brothers at the same big time university starting in the same backfield.
Fariogan in motion. Philip Reed up the middle. Ran into a wall of blue jerseys. Michigan should be very stout this year against the run. There's no question about that. Larry Stevens piercing in to make the hit.
It really appears that Western says we can't do any counters and ISOs or move outside, so we're going to really try to attack the middle. And that's where the strength of Michigan's defense is. If you try to work to the outside, they have so much speed. And if you try to go up the middle, those guys play very well interior defense.
Third down, a little bit less than 10 yards to go. Did he get it away? It's a fumble and recovered by Western Michigan. Back inside the 30-yard line. Loss of 5. The man who hauled it in was Jake Gassaway, the center.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you hold the ball this long, that pressure's going to finally get to you. And you're going to see it flash in your face right there. Norman Hoyer. And the Gassaway with the great one-handed grab of saving a turnover that would have been deep in Western Michigan's territory.
They might want to audition him on the goal line as a tight end. Huh?
He may get a look now.
Adam Anderson on punt formation. And the first quarter comes to a close here at Michigan Stadium. The Wolverines have put together a couple of impressive touchdown drives, and they've held the Broncos at bay. Second quarter coming up with Michigan on top 14-0.
Thinking about
Julius Curry back deep. Oh, he almost got that one blocked. Good as penalty marker down. Shante Orr was in on the kicker. And the football will be down at the Michigan 38-yard line. But again, penalty marker down, roughing the personal foul, roughing the kicker against the Michigan Wolverines.
And Shante Orr saying he got pushed in the back into the kicker. You know, that's the one thing you don't want to take away. I mean, he's blocked kicks, and he had on the first punt was in there awful close. So you don't want to take that away from him, but what you do have to do, big guys sometimes have a problem with trying to reach out and take the punt off the punter's foot. They'll run into him, whereas the little guys have that body control. You'll see here, he's going to run up the middle, and he is getting pushed, but at the same time, he's trying to move away and doesn't get to do that.
And a first down.
You're going to see him come right up the middle of your screen. He's getting pushed by the defender, but the defender lets him go, and that's where he has to pull off and not run into the punter.
Charles, let me ask you, is blocking kicks kind of contagious? You know, when a team blocks a couple, do the guys start, I mean, does it become a part of the MO, so to speak?
Look at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They practice it. You have to practice it, and then you also have to have guys that are willing to sacrifice for the guys that can block the kicks.
Well, Western gets a first down and maintains possession of the football as we begin the second quarter. Chad Munson in at quarterback. Larry Stevens got a piece of that football and knocked it down.
It's good he didn't catch that ball, Philip Reed, because he was so far in the backfield.
Chad Munson, the junior from Lakewood, California, out of Compton Junior College. He has attended 3 junior colleges and played football at 2 of them. Started his JUCO career at Long Beach City College, transferred to Compton, and attended Kalamazoo Valley Community College this past winter. They've got a nice pipeline, don't they? Have 7, 8 players on this football team from California. 2nd and 10. The tight end of Ferriogan in motion. Blitz coming. They picked it up pretty well. But staying right with his rush lane, Victor Hobson buries the quarterback back inside the 35. It appeared, Charles, they had done a good job of picking it up, but Hobson nails the quarterback for a 6-yard loss to match the number on his jersey.
That's why he is the team co-captain, and you think he's blocked. He's blocked right there, gets right back up.
Yeah.
Great job by Victor Hobson of getting cut, getting right up off the ground. These Michigan defenders all do this well. Look how they celebrate. That was the one thing when you played a Michigan team, 9 or 10 guys would get up. They wouldn't taunt you, but they would celebrate. And the reason why is because they all want to make plays like Victor Hobson just made.
Second sack of the day for Michigan. 3rd down now at 16. And Western, running out of time on the play clock, gets a timeout called. Second timeout of the first half taken by the Broncos. So Gary Darnell's team, tough time in getting off the schneid here at Michigan Stadium. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+.
True value, great paint, great store.
Wayne Larrabee, Charles Arbuckle. Good day to catch some rays at Michigan Stadium today. 3rd down and 16 for Western Michigan. Empty backfield behind Chad Munson. Quick toss on a screen. Not going to get the first down, but they did pick up yardage across the 45-yard line to the 46. Antonio Thomas on the reception. Zach Kaufman, the middle linebacker, got in to make the play for Michigan.
You know, the biggest thing is if you put yourself in 3rd and 15 against this team, they have so many more options. Jim Herman is going to do so many different things, and they've done a great job of tackling last week, and you can see the Michigan defense doing that again this week.
That was the thing Jim Herman mentioned to us. He was very happy with their tackling last week, and that's not often the case in an opener. Should be returnable. Julius Curry to the 25. Still on his feet. Curry 35 onto the 40-yard line, and Michigan will get excellent field position to begin their next drive. Chris Browning made the stop. We're in the big house. Michigan Stadium, Ann Arbor, Michigan. 7th ranked Michigan playing host to the Broncos of Western Michigan. Along with Charles Arbuckle, I'm Wayne Larrivee. Great to have you with us on this sun-splashed, warm, late summer afternoon.
And Wayne, not a cloud in the sky. I mean, it's been beautiful here the last couple of days and just great football weather.
If you like it hot. First down. And the fullback, B.J. Askew, getting the call. Plows ahead for about 3 to the 43-yard line. Chris Browning made the stop. Senior out of Batavia, Illinois. Charles, he works out. He's in Chicago, works out in the summers in Al Vermeil's camp. Al Vermeil is the younger brother of Dick Vermeil and is one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in all of sports. As a matter of fact, has worked for years with the Chicago Bulls in building some of their players who were part of the great championship run with Michael Jordan. Braylon Edwards in motion. On second down, Navarre. There's the quick toss. Tyrese Butler got the first down and is edged out of bounds at the 46-yard line of Western Michigan. Tony Carr made the stop on the play on the near side, gain of 11 yards.
Well, Wayne, that's another thing about some of the schools like the Mid-American Conference or Conference USA or some of the other conferences is that they've gotten better strength and conditioning programs. They've gotten better facilities for athletes to come to, and that's how you compete against the bigger schools. You have to be strong inside in order to compete against these big schools like Michigan.
There's no doubt about it. You've got to have facilities if you're looking to step to the next level, and most of these MAC schools do. Chris Perry back in there at the tailback spot. Gets almost 5 yards on that carry.
You know, his attitude, Chris Perry, that is, he's really bought into the system now, the program, and understanding that for him to be good, he has to allow the other 10 guys to work for him, you know, not to be a me guy. And I think that's what B.J. Askew is a prime example of that, having a sacrifice, because he could be a feature back anywhere else in the country, but he's chosen to stay here and really do the things that are necessary to make this offense work.
Terry Malone was talking about the fact with Askew, he wanted to be a tailback last year, but this year as a fifth-year senior, he comes in, he says, all I want to do is win. What's going to help the team win more? B.J. Askew at fullback making a block for Chris Perry.
You know, that's the thing with B.J. Askew. He understands how to block. You know, some guys will try to take you on if you're a fullback. Watch this block. Great job by Askew coming right up the screen, Brian Lake. He takes him on up high one time and then down low. That allows Chris Perry to get those yards. Fullbacks sometimes want to hit a guy high all the time. You got to mix it up. Have a changeup. Be like a pitcher. Curveball, fastball, high-low, split fiend, fastball. Do all the different things.
Make sure you've got movement on that fastball, though, or the major leaguers will knock it away. Third down. Askew juggled it and dropped it. He dropped 2 in the flat just like that a week ago.
Just like
the only flaw in his game.
No, just like a free throw shooter. You know, when you talk about him, you say, what a great job, he's 90%. And as you can catch this ball, he does it consistently, but he has struggled with this pass, running away from the quarterback. This is the hardest one. You see how the fingers get tied up? That is the hardest catch to make in football, and people think, oh, it's so easy. You're running away from the quarterback instead of back to him.
Yeah, Charles, that looks easier from up here. You've been down there, though. You've tried to make that catch. Adam Finley out in punt formation. Good leverage into this kick. Pretty much a straight-on kick. Can Michigan cover it? Nope, they run out of real estate. Sails into the end zone. Western Michigan. The defense holds on this sequence, and they will get it at their 20-yard line. So Gary Darnell's team trying to hang in there. Trailing 14-0. Just over 11 minutes to go first half. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+.
Planning to sell your home or condo this year?
Welcome back to Michigan Stadium. Wayne Larrivee, Charles Arbuckle. First down for Western Michigan. They got a much-needed stop by their defense on that last Michigan series. First down for the offense at the 20. Chad Munson at quarterback. Nice handoff to Philip Reed. Good quick move off right guard and a gain of almost 5 yards. Let's take a look at today's scores brought to you by National City Bank. Illinois on the road leading Southern Mississippi. Illinois upset by Missouri a week ago. Iowa trying to win another one over a MAC school. They're playing on the road in that one. Wisconsin leading West Virginia. NC State on top of Navy, and A&M has the lead on Pittsburgh. Second down. Munson the short drop, and Reed handcuffed on that one. I'm not sure if Shante Orr might have gotten a piece of that pass as Munson outlet it to the right.
It's a great play. He doesn't get to go all the way through. I think Shante Orr stops his arm. But the other key factor here is that Reed is open. You know, they're running inside, they're working it. Watch, or put those hands up and stop them from following through. The linebacker has to cover Zach Kaufman from inside. Reed is working outside. He catches that ball, he turns up, possibly gets a first down.
Michigan 8 starters back from a defensive unit that ranked 12th overall in the nation in total defense, 8th in rushing defense a year ago. Third down for Munson, over the middle in traffic, dangerous throw there. Pressure on both ends of that play. Cato June and Charles Drake all over Anthony Kiner, the tight end, trying to make the catch.
That's the inexperience of Chad Munson in this offense. He gets kind of panicky right here. He sees the blitz and he throws that ball. The great job by Kiner of not allowing Drake to make the interception because he's going in as a receiver.
So Adam Anderson on punt formation again. Julius Curry back deep. Anderson gets this punt away. 37-yard average so far today. Curry makes the first man miss. And another. Curry across the 40. Michigan good field position once again out near the Wolverine 43 to begin this drive. Nick Melcher made the stop. 43-yard punt. 11-yard return by Julius Curry.
Curry is so fast. I mean, in those tight spaces, you expect a guy not to have that ability. He almost had another gear he was able to get into. Had he got past that first wave, he may still be running.
So Michigan on a 1st and 10 again. Advantageous field position to begin a drive. Braylon Edwards in motion, and this is Chris Perry. And they're knocking on the Bronco territorial door. Perry crashing ahead to the 48. JoJo Mesa, Jason Felposh.
Take a look here at 83, Benny Joppru. Great block by him. I mean, he just levels his man, and the run is what makes this pass go. Joppru's going to come and get late. Boom, right there. That allows just enough space for Perry to work in that angle. He seals off. That's what the tight end's job is, to seal off the outside so the back can get outside.
Second down. Jason Avon in his first game in the Michigan program, true freshman wide receiver, and there is David Underwood picking up a first down into Bronco territory to about the 46-yard line. Jason Avon, number 8 at wide receiver for the Michigan Wolverines, getting an opportunity, a true freshman out of Carver High School in Chicago, Illinois. There he is, number 8. And you know what? If a program like Michigan plays a true freshman in a situation like this, Charles, that means this kid is real good.
He must be special, because normally at that age, they won't play him. You know, they'll keep him around because they know he has the ability, but they're putting him in right away.
Calvin Bell in motion. Navarre, the short drop. Quick toss, Tyrese Butler for a gain of 5 to the 40-yard line of Western Michigan. Tony Carr on the stop. John Navarre playing, staying within his game, basically.
Watch the head. He's working. He sees the other side of the field right away. I know where the receiver is. That's a pre-read read right there. Instead of him working around, he looks one side. Okay, I know over here I can't go. I can go right back over. And that's what Navarre is doing a much better job of, out to in, high to low.
Efficient afternoon, as you saw there so far. Underwood working it on the ground. John Navarre had an interesting season a year ago. In the first 6 games, Charles, he completed 69% of his passes with a 9-to-2 touchdown to interception ratio. But over the last 5 games, the percentage fell to 46.8, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Well, and another thing, he got an injured player there, David Underwood, coming off the field.
Underwood shaken up, hard to tell on the injury here. I'm wondering on a day like this if it might be cramps. Yeah, he's buckled over pretty good, though, isn't he?
Either the wind knocked out of him. I mean,
might have been a hit to the midsection of some sort.
Really struggling to come off the field.
Third down for the Michigan Wolverines. Edwards in motion. Chris Perry, big hole. Steamrolling his way. First and more. Down near the 25-yard line of Western Michigan. Carlos Smith, the free safety, on the stop.
Wayne, when we watched film yesterday, how many of those big offensive linemen from Michigan were down the field blocking? You can see David Braz right there in front, the caravan, 62, 57. They all do a very good job of moving their feet. But when they have to go hit in space, meaning a second or third level, they do such a great job.
Charles, technically there is not a 300-pounder in the bunch. But what Michigan has that's a little bit different now under Lloyd Carr, they get linemen who can move. Number one, can these guys move? What kind of feet do they have? Navarre got a man open in the end zone. Braylon Edwards, touchdown.
Told you, Braylon Edwards is going to get the touches deep. They want to go deep to him. When Ronald Bellamy is out, look, great job of out and then take it up. Sam Reynolds bites on that outside fake, and great throw by Navarre. We talk about him managing the ball game, but his receivers are catching the football as well. The linemen are blocking. When you have all those things working for you, you can't help but be successful.
It appears the Michigan receivers, Charles, are also running very good routes today. Philip Rabs for the point after. And Michigan extends its advantage to 21-0. Just over 7.5 minutes to go in this first half. 6-play, 57-yard drive. Edwards, another touchdown reception. Michigan in command. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+. Braylon Edwards, once again, a big man in the plans of John Navarre and the Michigan offense. Touchdown reception moments ago, putting the Wolverines on top by 3 scores. Grabs, good strong leg. Still has a lot of juice from last week. Sure, running through his veins. Oh, the story of Philip Rabs last week is one of those Cinderella stories. I mean, you take a look at it. He's a Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week based on 1 kick. He missed field goals of 36 and 42 yards. But with the game on the line, and perhaps the season on the line, hard to say in an opening week, but he hits a 44-yard field goal as time expires to lift the Wolverines to victory over top 10 Washington.
And talking to Lloyd Carr about that yesterday, how he still just conjured up the emotions of that game. I mean, you could see it when we talked to him.
5 days later, it's still fresh. First down for Western Michigan. Berriogan in motion, drop back in a quarterback. Lots of time. Nearly intercepted, and in fact is intercepted. Victor Hobbs makes the interception. Brandon Williams broke it up. Hobbs, Johnny on the spot. Michigan's got it inside Bronco territory.
Well, if you're Michigan, you play good, sound, fundamental defense, and you allow, they don't even respect the play action, really. The linebackers stuck in, but you can see Hobson working out. Great job by the defender of just stepping in front of it and then allowing Hobson to come up with a nice interception.
So credit Williams with the breakup. Hobson gets the interception. Michigan back in business at the 33-yard line of Western Michigan, and Gary Darnell, the problems continue to mount. New quarterback in the ball game, Spencer Britton, and he is welcomed to Michigan in rather rude fashion by the counterparts from Western Michigan. Malloy, among others, in on that sack. Westgate and Babin.
Well, talking to Gary Darnell, these guys aren't going to stop fighting. You know, they're going to fight. And if you're Western, you have to. You cannot allow Michigan to have an opportunity here to score on you again. You got to do what find a way to get them stopped on this offensive possession.
Spencer Britton, as you saw, played in 3 games last year. This is his first action of this season. Second down. Britton, a left-hander. Again, this pressure on, and a little touch pass into the flat eludes BJSQ, and Britton under pressure right away. Much more pressure than Navarre saw in the majority of this first half.
Well, this is smart by the Western Michigan defense of really bringing it now. You have a new quarterback in, a lefty at that. Bring the pressure right away because he's not used to the game speed. He's been on the sideline warming up. That's a totally different feel than what Navarre was just going through after that nice 10 of 12, 117 yards for 2 TDs.
Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator of Western Michigan, has not been shy about the blitz here. Got a 3-man down line, 3rd and long. 3 receivers at the top of your screen for Michigan. Britton drills this pass. Going to be short of the first down. Calvin Bell on the reception. Scott Robinson was right there for Western Michigan. Yeah, you're in field goal range, aren't you, with Philip Rabs on the sidelines?
I think so, with the confidence factor that he has going.
Why not?
Let's give him a kick. Let him kick. He's kicked the kickoffs, I mean, consistently 10 yards deep, sometimes out of the end zone. So you know he has a leg. And if they had not gotten the penalty, they were talking about going for that kick. They didn't have really any other option.
Yeah, Lloyd Carr said, I was going to put him in for a 60-yarder, and he said he could make it. This will be about a 51-yard field goal attempt, almost 52. A low liner of a kick that may have been partially blocked. And Western Michigan holds defensively. What a difference a week makes. Well, I guess in all fairness, it's not the fourth quarter yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Here it is again with the game on the line. 44-yard field goal by Philip Rabs, no doubt about it. That kick, as time expired, beat Washington.
Wayne, you're probably a way better golfer than I am, but in golf, if you just have a rhythm, he looked like he was so smooth and so rhythmic on that kick, as opposed to the ones earlier in the game.
Is that the problem with my swing from game to game?
My swing.
Rhythm? First down, football to the 35. Philip Reed to the outside. Some much-needed rushing yardage for Western Michigan. Zia Combs, the cornerback, came up to make the hit. You know, on their opening drive, which went 10 plays, 67 yards, and took 4:29 off the clock, they had some good running plays called for Philip Reed, and he took advantage.
Well, he ran the ball a lot harder. Last week, only 1.6 yards rushing. So they wanted more productivity out of him. And Robert Sanford was the main thoroughbred for this offense a few years back. They need another rusher like him.
Reed, 44 yards and 8 carries here today. Second down. John Drock in a tight pocket. And a loss of a couple of yards back near the 39-yard line. And I'll tell you something, it doesn't take long for that pressure to precipitate. Patrick Massey was in on that stop. Sean Lazarus collapsing the pocket as well.
Well, Jim Herman has found something that's really working for him, and that's moving the linemen around. They don't ever sit there and just get blocked because they're not a real big bunch, but they are quick. 4 sacks today shows you why. Shante Orr, one of the smaller guys there, 6'1", 255, but very quick off the corner. Rumashek will always give you pressure. Now you see Cassius in the game. Emmanuel Cassius, a senior out of Montreal, Quebec.
Third down, and Reed make that Drock, no chance there. Cassius at his ankles on cue.
I called his name. I was hoping he would make a play for me. But Larry Stevens there as well. I mean, this is a jailbreak. It's wide open. Right to the passer. He gets blocked, Cassius is, but he's still able to get there. 6'2", 244, outside linebacker. They move him around like Hobson. And if you have a guy like Hobson in front of you, he makes you play better.
5 sacks today for Michigan, to go along with 2 last week. Adam Anderson's punt. This one chasing Curry way back, just inside the 10. And Julius Curry nabbed nicely. Good play made downfield that time by Western Michigan defensive back Kevin Ford. A free safety, 54-yard punt, 8-yard return. Michigan offensive line. I mentioned the fact, and this may surprise some people, that they do not list a 300-pounder in this line. Now, they do list a couple of 299ers and 298-pound linemen, but that's somewhat unusual in college football today, that you don't have a couple of 320s and 330s and 310s in there. But again, as we mentioned, today in Michigan, they want linemen who can move. They look for the foot factor in an offensive lineman.
A lot of the pro teams, Wayne, are also going to that. Also, Denver Broncos have made it vogue to have guys that are 290 to 295, but can run and really are good at getting leverage. And that's what these guys do well. They keep their base really wide, and they work into the linemen and linebackers. And also, they'll go down the field and hit safeties at times.
Gain of 4 for Chris Perry. 2nd and 6, Michigan. Wolverines in command. Askew. Nate Feldpost Smith still on his feet, and it took 2 Broncos to bring him down. Scott Robinson was over there, and Brian Lape, the linebacker, finally wrestled him to the ground. 9-yard gain by B.J. Askew.
The thing that impresses me about B.J. Askew is his fluidness. I mean, watch when he runs. Watch this move right here on Feldspar. He gives him 3 or 4 moves, and Feldspar still doesn't hit him. And then he has other people. This is where the strength comes in. He's able to run over you and run by you as well.
First down, Michigan at the Wolverine 32. Inside of 3 minutes to go, first half. Japru once again, his 3rd catch of the day. Gain of 8 yards to the 40-yard line of Michigan. And Carlos Smith, the busy free safety, in on the stop.
You know, they have really been able to run this football today. and we talked about it. If they run well, their offense is going to be so successful.
Yeah, it does so much for the passing game, and you take a look at it.
Very good balance.
Already 20 runs on the board for Michigan. Penalty markers early in this play. Usually that's against the offense.
The right guard and right tackle, Dave Petrozelli and Tony Pape were offsides.
Offense. 5-yard penalty remains 2nd down.
But let's not always get on the offensive line. I equate the offensive lineman to like your household products or you know, the washer and dryer or dishwasher. You don't worry about them until they break, and they last for 10, 15 years. That's how the linemen are. You don't hear about them until they make a penalty, but they are so effective in this run and pass game.
In a modern household, those appliances are invaluable. So are offensive linemen. Navarre hit as he throws. It overshot everybody. Why, that was great timing on the blitz by JoJo Mesa, who played so well in a starting role a year ago here. He made his first start at Michigan last year. Mesa, backup linebacker to Jason Malloy.
He's another one of those Californian guys. You know, JoJo Mesa is a little guy, but he packs a punch. You know, he hits you at the proper time, almost causes a turnover. The other thing with JoJo Mesa is he's not very big, and you can see he works inside. He doesn't see that back coming after him. Timing is efficient right there to knock the quarterback down.
3rd down for the Wolverines, and about 7 yards to go. Michigan 4 of 6 on 3rd downs. Pressure by Babin, quick outlet, Chris Perry, well defensed by Western Michigan. Outstanding play by Sam Reynolds, making the tackle to the open field. Loss of 4.
And John Navarre was back in the game on that play.
Timeout called by Michigan. Wolverines play on the lead with under 2 minutes to go, first half. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+. Western Michigan will get the football with 1:44 to go first half, but they are out of timeouts. Adam Finley on punt formation. Outstanding week last week. 5 punts, a 45-yard average. It's kind of a line drive kick away here. Greg Jennings has some running room and out across the 40-yard line. Western will start near the Bronco 42. So let's see if they can get something going offensively. Just a 38-yard punt, 9-yard return. But they have been handcuffed since the opening drive, Charles, when they drove 67 yards in 10 plays.
Well, and they haven't gone back to 86 anymore. Mobilaji Ferriogan, they need to get him back involved in the passing game because that first drive he had 2 big catches right away.
They're now in a hurry-up offensive mode here without any timeouts. Ferriogan in motion. Chad Munson, the quarterback. Munson's got his man Jennings wide open in the middle of the Michigan secondary. Inside the Wolverine 30 to the 28-yard line.
He is an outstanding young receiver, Greg Jennings. He's one of the guys from Kalamazoo who's decided to stay at home. He just finds the opening in the secondary. Prevent defense always hurts you. You think about it, these guys play so well all the way up until, and then they get these big zones, and you're able to find areas in those zones.
30-yard gain there. Western Michigan in scoring range. Munson pulls it back. Now lets it go. Good open field tackle made by Marlon Jackson on the big tight end. Mobilize Ferriogun.
So one thing you want to see him do a better job of are breaking tackles, especially with defensive backs. Knocking that, if he gets further down the field, he'll pick up a lot more yards on that play.
Under a minute to go in the half. Munson. And a juggling grab made on the play by Brandon Johnson, close to the first down. Ushered to the chalk marks by Marcus Curry.
Looks like Munson has finally found his comfort zone, and the line is blocking a lot better. They're playing Michigan staying in cover 2, and they're able to find some voids in that seam. Good catch right there.
It is a first down. 18-yard line, Michigan territory. Western trying to get on the board here before halftime.
They've shown they can drive against this defense, just have not been able to pick up key first downs or get any points because the defense by Michigan stiffens up inside the 20.
Jennings in the slot, Lewis the wide receiver at the top of your screen. Munson looking that way with penalty markers down. Tried to hit Lewis and threw it away. Penalty markers all over that play early.
Well, Michigan was coming with the house. This is the big house, but they were bringing up everything. The kitchen sink as well. They were really coming after him.
But they were in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
Were the Wolverines.
You can see the safeties creeping up. You kind of know when they have man coverage because safeties don't want to be out on that island.
Defense, offside. 5 yards from the previous spot, remains first down.
You know, it's funny, Charles. Coaches will tell you all the time that the most improvement is made from game 1 to game 2 by a football team. I don't know how Lloyd Carr could expect much more from his football team than he saw a week ago. They've had some penalties now. I believe that's 5 penalties on Michigan in this first half. Coach won't be happy about that. Munson, quick handoff. Reed, stiff-arming his way, still on his feet. Dives inside the 10-yard line.
It was a great play call by Western Michigan. Michigan had just come with the blitz. They got an offsides. Now you come right back, give them the effect of the pass, and the draw is your best weapon against a rush defense.
Philip Reed on the gain of about 8 yards. Marcus Curry made the stop. First down and goal to go, but time winding down on the Broncos. Munson to the end zone. Touchdown! Jermaine Lewis, a sensational catch over Zia Combs.
This is why Jermaine Lewis is getting so many looks. Not only is he fast, the timing. You see how he waits and goes up and gets the football. His coach, Guy Holliday, said yesterday he can jump out of the building. And he right here, he does it. Look at this. You go up as high as you can. You get the ball. You pull it down. The defensive back can't do anything more, Wayne, but give up 6 on that. Jermaine
Lewis played in this game a year ago in the defensive secondary. Hard to believe, isn't it? I tell you. Appa for the point after. Snap is juggled. Picked up by Drock. They've got play now. To the end zone, and it's incomplete.
Well, good play by the Michigan defense of not allowing him to get that, but presence of mind by Drock, working around. You know, you work on this all the time, and you guys normally go around, and you're going to see Antonio Thomas, the wing guy, he works there, and then he finds a void, tries to get there, and Drock can't quite get it to him, but he's open. He's wide open.
Well, at least the Broncos are on the board, however, with 26 seconds to go in this first half, and that's a drive they began with no timeout, so they can take some solace in that heading to the locker room and maybe hopefully extend the momentum into the second half.
How many good catches have we seen today in the end zone? Joffrey on that first touchdown for Michigan. Braylon Edwards going deep, and now Jermaine Lewis just going up for the football.
It didn't take long. 71 seconds. Failed conversion. And dropping back deep, Chris Perry, the principal deep back for Michigan. And the kickoff by Menchinger. This is Perry. Perry's got it open. Cut down near the 30-yard line. So it'll be first down for Michigan. Kevin Ford made the hit defensively on the coverage units. Coming up at halftime, you won't want to go away if you're a Michigan fan, because we've got big house memories with Charles Woodson and Bo Schembechler.
Those will both be very good to look at.
Bo will take you to a place you've never been before, and that's the Michigan locker room here in Ann Arbor. Never been, that is, unless you're a Michigan Wolverine player, or ex-player, I should say. First down from the 29. Navarre, the quarterback, and here comes Chris Perry. This will build the stat page a little bit. He gets about 13 yards out across the 40-yard line, made 14. Carlos Smith, Tony Carr made the stop. Time winding down.
Wayne, other than the first long run Chris Perry has had, they've done a pretty good job, Western Michigan, that is, of not allowing big yards by him today, rather.
Michigan takes this timeout. Perry at 90 yards on 12 carries. He had a 34-yard run early in the ball game to get those numbers. But you know, when you have a back, some backs are like this. They'll go along and they'll get 2-3 yards, maybe a yard, maybe lose 2, and then hit a big shot, hit a 57-yard run. Barry Sanders was like that with the Detroit Lions. He'd go along and you'd be tackling him behind the line all afternoon. Then he'd bust you for 60 yards at a touchdown.
He'd lose 5, gain 1, lose 2, and then all of a sudden 60 yards. And Chris Perry has worked himself into shape at 6'1", 220 with the speed. And then you have B.J. Askew. You're not really losing much when you put B.J. in as a one-back situation. So, and then Underwood is a very talented guy. And you talk about an excellent player that hasn't really had a chance is Tim Bracken. You know, we talked about how he had broken his femur, and he's come back from that so quickly.
He was redshirted as a true freshman, a highly regarded recruit out of White Castle, Louisiana. And as he was getting set for his redshirt freshman year, he broke his femur, and now just coming back this season. First down to the 42-yard line for the Michigan Wolverines. Navarre in the shotgun. Michigan still 2 timeouts remaining. Braylon Edwards, and that pass sailed a bit on Navarre. Edwards unable to gather it in.
If you look at Braylon Edwards' wristbands on his arm,
there it is.
Number 19. That's for Ronald Bellamy, his partner in crime. You know, they are on the same side. They play a lot together, and wants to make sure he remembered his partner.
Bellamy injured today with a sore shoulder, not playing. Navarre going deep. Braylon Edwards out there, has to come back for it. And a leaping interception made by Tony Carr.
That was a great play by Tony Carr, because I thought he was beaten on that play by Braylon Edwards.
I'll tell you what, he was, Charles. If that pass doesn't hang up there a little bit for the coverage to come back, Edwards had to wait for it, and Carr was able to regain his position. Watch this.
Braylon Edwards had just run by him, and good job by Navarre of looking to the other side of the field and coming back. He knows he has that one-on-one. That holds that safety. You can see Feldspar coming over, but awful late. But like you said, not a very good throw. You have to get the ball out further in order for Braylon Edwards to make the big play.
They've been throwing into the wind a little bit. What little wind we've got here. And now Western Michigan will just run out the final 3 seconds, and time winds down to this first half. Michigan built up a 21-0 lead. Western put a late first half touchdown on the board. And as we go to halftime, Gary Darnell and company trailing in the big house to the Wolverines 21-6. Halftime coming up. Wayne Larrabee, Charles Arbuckle back at Michigan Stadium, where the Wolverines, 7th ranked in the nation, lead Western Michigan 21-6. Let's take a look at today's scores, brought to you by National City Bank. Illinois, things have tightened considerably down at Southern Miss. Iowa leading Miami of Ohio in a tough game on the road. Ohio State rolling over in-state rival Kent State. Meanwhile, Wisconsin burying West Virginia out of the Big East. North Carolina State leading Navy 38-12, and Texas A&M over Pittsburgh. That Wisconsin score is somewhat surprising, isn't it?
It very much so is. And if you look back to Miami of Ohio, it's unusual for an Iowa team to go there. You see these scores here: Northwestern over TCU, and then Notre Dame and Purdue. What a big matchup you have there.
Michigan State leading Rice in Northwestern. Again, that lead over TCU. Northwestern beaten like 52-3 last week at the Air Force. The Western Michigan marching band performing at halftime. We'll be back. Welcome back to Ann Arbor. In a place that's held so many memories, one of the greatest Wolverines of the ball was kind enough to take us through a few of his.
Man, fellas, I wish I was back there with you in the big house. Whew. Man, I know I had a lot of great moments back there. It's nothing like running out to 106,000 screaming fans every week. There's nothing like running out there to the fight song. Hip, hip to Michigan, the champions of the West. Ha! My singing skills. Been a lot of great plays at Michigan, but none bigger than my man AC's last-second catch against Indiana.
Michigan wins 27-21. They aren't even going to try the extra point. Who cares? Who gives a damn? I've never been so happy in all my cotton-picking days.
Even Tom Harmon is getting into the act. You see why he won the Heisman. Reversing field, making guys miss tackle. Kind of reminds me of myself a little bit.
Woodson will go all the way. Lobs it. Hayes is there. Out of the end zone. Touchdown. They give it to him. He has 1 foot in.
That's my first game in the big house, baby. Never forget it. Never.
Now they start from the 12. Ismail up the middle.
We forget about the Rocket. The Rocket came in there and did damage.
Gone.
Why you keep kicking to this guy?
Bye-bye, Rocket, touchdown, Irish.
Stewart with time.
Oh, I hate to watch.
Lets it go.
Knock it down. Just knock the ball. Knock the ball down. Oh.
In the air. Caught. Touchdown. Incredible.
I was already in my car headed home when that play happened. Things will get better.
He's going to throw. He pumps once, now heaves it deep in the end zone. Touchdown, Desmond Howard.
Michigan fans, get up in your seat. Raise your hands.
And it runs Howard back up, but it's a little flip attack.
Yeah, this man is free running into the end zone. We love that.
Goodbye. Hello, Heisman.
Strike the pose. Desmond, you just won the Heisman.
Woodson back, grabs this one on his 23.
You put a 1 on that jersey, it's Desmond. Take the 1 off his jersey, it's me.
He's going to go all the way. Touchdown, Michigan.
106,000 fans. Probably 50,000 of them got my jersey on. I got to represent.
Woodson leaping touchdown.
I make plays, baby. Hey, I make plays. That's all to it. They do all the talking. I do the walking, baby.
Well, guys, it's been fun sitting up here bringing back old memories. Man, I think I did a pretty good job up here today, too. Lee, Kirk, watch out for your jobs.
Former Michigan Heisman winner Charles Woodson on a piece of the ESPN Game Day crew. Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit. When we return, Bo Schembechler takes us inside the big house as halftime festivities continue.
Rugged 4Runner and the legendary Land Cruiser. From the civilized ride and comfort of Highlander to the full-size family utility of Sequoia with its awesome I-Force V8 engine and seating for 8. Toyota SUVs start at just $17,035. Now you know. Get the feeling. See your Toyota dealer today.
Metro Toyota, Kalamazoo.
Welcome back to halftime in Ann Arbor with Michigan hosting Western Michigan. For 21 seasons, the Michigan program was run by a man named Bo, and he knows every inch of this legendary setting.
Greatest college fight song ever written. The victors. 1, 2, 3.
Hail to the victors, valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail to Michigan, the leaders in battle.
I'm Bo Schembechler. One time I coached in this stadium. I'd like to show you Michigan Stadium and some of the things that you normally wouldn't see watching it on television. This is the only time that we use this locker room is before the game.
The only time players ever see this room.
They ever see it
is
they come in here. They come in here for a home game. That's it. And so what happens is that every player, before he takes the field, when he gets here, now they're all a lot bigger than I am. Most of them hit it with 2 hands, but they go up there like that, and they slap that sign and then run out onto the tunnel.
So this is the fabled one tunnel at Michigan State.
This is it.
The only entrance and the only exit.
The only exit.
What's everybody doing?
Sometimes it's several minutes. Now you got to understand, these guys are racehorses, and they're sitting back there, hey, come on, let's go, come on, let's go, you know, and they're pushing me, man. They want to go, you know, and I'm going like this, you know, waiting until they get me. I'm holding them back, and then all of a sudden they go, and then I run like hell because I don't want to get run over.
Here come the Wolverines.
Point out some areas on the field here where certain things might have happened.
1971, Ohio State came in with a run-of-the-mill team. They played a magnificent game, led 7-3 in the 4th period. We drove down and finally, on an option play, Billy Taylor ran in that end zone for a touchdown. We kicked the extra point. We're ahead 10-7. Now, there's just a couple minutes left on the game. They threw a pass to an end by the name of Dick Whitfield, and our All-American safety, Tommy Darden, leaped in the air and intercepted it right here. Well, it was one of those days where it rained, and then the sun came out, and then it rained, and so Woody insisted that this was pass interference. And Woody kept storming at Jerry Markert. Mike Bright picked up the ball, put 15 more on. Woody chased him down. He picked up the ball, put 15 more on. And he looked over at me, and I could see he was saying, I'm setting you up for next year, brother.
When you recruited players, did you ever bring them in here just to say, oh, this could be yours if you come to Michigan?
You take a day like this, it's kind of awesome looking around here to think that there'd be 111,000 people here watching you play football. And that's exciting. And so sure, we brought them down here. There's no question about that.
Michigan, the champions of the West. Bo Schembechler's influence has been passed down through generations here at Michigan Stadium. We'll have first half stats and highlights when we return. Western Michigan and Michigan doing battle in an interesting rivalry this afternoon.
Ready for this?
We welcome you back to Michigan Stadium, where the Wolverines, 7th ranked in the nation, lead Western Michigan 21-6. Hi, everybody. Wayne Levy along with Charles Arbuckle. Interesting first half for a while. Western Michigan took the opening drive of the game, and they worked 10 plays, took almost 5 minutes off the clock, Charles, but came up with a missed field goal, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the half.
And what they also did is got away from their comfort level of 3-step, 5-step drops. You can't roll out against this Michigan defense, and I think they tried to do that, and that set them back and got away from throwing the ball across the middle of the field, which is an easier throw for the quarterback.
Take a look at some of the first half stats in this ball game here this afternoon. Dominated for the most part by Michigan. Though, again, the rushing yards, they're able to do what they wanted to do, is run the football. The Broncos have to do a better job of getting more than 26 yards. Most of those yards came early in the ball game.
Yeah, and also, too, Wayne, you look at it from the standpoint of the sacks. That reduces your rushing yards, so you have to factor those in. But Michigan has done what they want to do. The only thing they talked about, Terry Malone, that is said we need to do a better job of being consistent. We don't need just the big plays. We need the long, sustained drives, and I think they want to do a better job of that in the second half.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights of the first half, and it begins with Chris Perry, who got off to a great start here this afternoon. 12 carries, 90 yards in the first half, including this touchdown run here. This big run here.
He is just able to run. This is the second play of the game, just like last week against Washington.
34 yards for Perry on that play. Now, Benny Joppru, pretty catch.
Great job of getting the hands up, extended, and catching the football.
Braylon Edwards has been open all day.
Well, Braylon Edwards, you say 3 or 4 deep catch touches, he's going to get them. And then another guy on the other side, not deep but high, Jermaine Lewis.
Outstanding catch by Jermaine Lewis, and that got Western on the board, and perhaps they can take some momentum off that late first half drive into the locker room and now into the third quarter. Charles, let's take a look at some of your keys of the game. We'll go back to what you said before the game began.
Well, we talked about efficiency on both sides, but really pass set up the run for Michigan. Western Michigan, and stuff the run. They've done a pretty decent job, but Michigan is going to run the football. On the other side, if you look at Michigan, the real key, don't build up the Dagwood. They didn't. They jumped out 21-0 lead. They ate the sandwiches in small pieces.
They went with the light mayo.
They went with the light mayo. No mayo for you. And touchbacks on the kicking game. Brabs didn't do a very good job of getting the touch, but great kickoffs.
All right, and so the Wolverines coming back for the start of the second half. You know, they got pressure defensively to the Wolverines. We expected that here today. The big matchup, the hard matchup for Western was how were they going to handle the Wolverines in the trenches, and the Wolverines were able to bring a lot of pressure defensively with 5 sacks in the first half.
The Wolverines want to force you into a game where you're 3rd and long and you have to go to 5- and 7-yard step drops, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to keep it to 3 to 5. If you go to 7 steps, these guys will get you. And right here, you roll outside. You can't do that against this fast defense. Kaufman works it back inside, allowing his friends to help him out. And then you got Buer right there. Great job, but great catch by Gassaway as well. But the pressure, it's constant. Hobson on that, the excellent job of keeping his feet. Then you have people just coming in, Larry Stevens. When you have all of that pressure coming at you, you have to get rid of the football. In 5 to 7 step drops, you're not going to do it.
Let's take a look at the quarterback comparison here this afternoon. John Navarre got off to a good start here today. Spencer Britton also played for Michigan. And we saw 2 quarterbacks for Western as well. But there is the comparison.
Well, Drock and Munson, when they had a chance to throw the ball, they were doing a pretty good job. And Navarre, you can't say enough about him today. 2 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception late in the first half, but he was so efficient at reading and the read progression. You can see he's taking another step in that process.
So on a beautiful sun-splashed afternoon here at Michigan Stadium, better than 100,000 on hand, and for the most part, they're happy here today with the way things have gone so far. An ideal afternoon. Some light breeze in the stadium. Just enough that if you're on the golf course, you're saying just enough wind to make it interesting. But not enough to overpower. Let's take a look at today's scores, brought to you by National City Bank. And again, Illinois at halftime now leading by just 2. Iowa a 3-point lead at the half at Miami of Ohio. Ohio State the big advantage on Kent State. Wisconsin huge on West Virginia. There's a lot of people who think that Wisconsin could get undefeated all the way deep into the season to when they have to play Ohio State in November. Purdue Notre Dame scoreless going into the second quarter. Notre Dame's got something going on defense. Don't they shut out Maryland a week ago?
They are awful tough on defense, and I think that's what people overlook. They talked about the offense, but their defense had to be better than they were last year. About TCU and Northwestern, you got a baseball score going there.
Yes.
Some baseball games they score more than that.
Michigan will receive the kickoff to begin the second half. Charles, when you're in a game like this, I guess if you're Western Michigan, it's crucial your defense come up with a stop in this first possession of the second half. Mentioner's kick kind of squibs its way. Jeremy Lesueur, good speed. Down the sidelines, Carr's got the angle on him, knocked him out of bounds, but in Western territory.
That is not how you want to start, and I'm sure Michigan talked about it at halftime. We got to get off to a great start. Let's get this kicking game going. We're going to get the ball back, guys. Your special team coach will come to you and say, we need to get a big play, and you can see it right here. It's developing perfect. B.J. Askew looking as a convoy. He's going to get a great block.
Well, he got a block.
Yeah,
I guess.
From up here, it looked like it was a great block, but the kicker just went down. He saw B.J. coming after him, and Mentioner just fell down.
On the replay, he may have blocked him in the back. 48-yard return, first down for the Michigan Wolverines. John Navarre, quarterback to start the second half. Chris Perry gets the first call, and he's inside the 40 to the 37-yard line. Malloy, the linebacker, was over there, along with Jeff Westgate, the defensive tackle.
I'm sure they're going to use Chris Perry right now and get this running game going again. He was running so effectively. The second play of the first 2 ball games, he's had a great play. Let's see what he does on the second play of the half.
Well, that big old fullback, Sean Sanderson, will be leading the way on whatever he does. Braylon Edwards, the man in motion. Perry, nice slide move there. Hole was closed on the left side, and he slid it back toward the middle and gets the first down to the 30-yard line. Reynolds and Browning on the stop. Game 8.
Carlos Smith comes up from that safety position and really delivers a hammer. But Chris Perry, good blocking in front of him. I mean, he is just able to pick his hole. And look at the footwork by him. He's working one way with the body, and his feet are going the other way. That's outstanding body control by Chris Perry.
Perry over 100 yards, as you can see. Navarre. A little bit wide of the mark. Good coverage provided on the near side by Scott Robinson on the coverage of B.J. Askew.
This is where Michigan has really hurt Western Michigan's defense. In 2nd and long, they found a way to pick up nice yards, so it makes it easier on 3rd and short. If you're 3rd and long, Western Michigan has a chance. Let's see what they do on defensive play.
Let's see if defensive coordinator Jim Knowles brings a blitz here. 2nd down for Michigan. Avant, the freshman in motion. Chris Perry running the daylight. Inside the 25, about 3 yards short of the first down.
Now you have options. Chris Perry with the great feet. You know, you do drills as a running back. Watch. He works outside. Now, this is a sure tackler a lot of times, but look how he's able to stiff arm and get the feet moving and still pick up yards. That's an excellent job by a running back of moving his feet, keeping his legs going so he can get good yardage.
Scott Robinson was the man he beat at the point of attack on the flank of that play. 3rd down for Michigan. Navarre to Perry. Good spin move, gets the first down to the 16-yard line of Western Michigan. We are seeing a power dimension here to Chris Perry this afternoon.
Well, you know, those guys up front, Big Matt Lentz just works around, and then Chris Perry with the second effort. He doesn't normally go down after the first hit. You don't see him getting hit or tripped up very often, Wayne.
He's not a shrinking violet after the first hit, you're right. He keeps on moving. They mark it to the 17, 1st down Michigan. Perry. And coming up from the secondary, Carlos Smith, the free safety, stuck his nose in there. Got the running back to the ground after a gain of 3.
And what this does to the defense, he's run so effectively that Michigan is going to go to that play action pass or almost a delayed draw. You have options now because Chris Perry is running the ball effectively. You put Big Sanderson, 44 in there, and you let him just lay the wood on people. And then you bring back B.J. Askew for the little finesse, but also power game as well.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, and Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, said B.J. Askew is about 4 different kinds of players. Navarre, quick toss into the flank. Here is Askew. Touchdown! The vault got him over for the last 4 yards. 14-yard play.
It's just unfair when you have 2 guys in the backfield like a B.J. Askew and a Chris Perry. I mean, B.J. Askew is a feature back in his own right, but he sacrifices for this Michigan team, and we just talked about it. He can come in and the versatility. Even his offensive as well as defensive guys. Rumashek right there giving him 5, understand how important he is because they see him in practice every day.
Philip Brabs for the point after. Right through the uprights. 7 plays, just 42 yards for the Michigan offense. B.J. Askew goes up over the top to the end zone for the score. 28-6 Wolverines. B.J. Askew with the touchdown off the swing pass. And I'll tell you something. Career high 7 receptions last week, and he caps this latest drive here on the 14-yard TD catch. John Navarre having an outstanding afternoon. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Navarre's had 13 of 19 passes. Here's the kickoff. Greg Lewis. Got him pinned toward the sidelines. Lewis brought down just short of the 20-yard line. The effort is what gets Askew into the end zone on the previous play.
Well, Jason Babin almost stops the play from even developing. Askew does a great job of turning around. He struggled with that catch earlier, but he didn't struggle with this touchdown. Almost got help from Carlos Smith as well as Tony Carr getting in the end zone.
He went over Tony Carr's hit. Said thank you very much. Western Michigan on offense for the first time in the second half here this afternoon. Chad Munson in a quarterback. Philip Reed got through a couple of arm tackles to about the 26-yard line.
Philip Reed is running a lot harder this week than he did last week, and I think it's also a testament to his offensive line coming off the football a lot better. They struggled against Indiana State, and you expected that against Michigan. However, they got 32 yards rushing so far, and he's been the workhorse in that 32 yards.
And of course, again, if you take a look at the sack situation, sacks come off the rushing total in the college game. So, and Michigan's had 5 of those here today. So, second down. Munson hit from behind by Shante Orr. Fumble up for grabs. And did Western get it back? Apparently they did.
Well, the pressure again, we talked about it. Michigan's going to give you a lot of pressure, and if you do not stand up and get rid of that football, drop back in that pocket, the pocket's going to collapse quickly. Shante Orr on the outside, great job. He's done an excellent job of, you can see how he's so athletic at getting blocked kicks by his ability to leap and hit the ball at its proper angle. Right there's a prime example.
Kyle Russ, the left tackle, able to get the fumble back. Third down for Western. Michigan on a blitz. Munson outlets it. Reed, good move. Gets the first down and then some. Close to the 40-yard line.
Good running by Reed. Man coverage right there. You need to come up, and Reed makes the open field defender miss.
15-yard gain, and it's the move right here, Charles, that makes it happen.
Right there, the sure tackling of Cato June, who normally brings guys down when he hits them. But Reed stops on a dime, comes back in. We saw Perry doing it on the last drive. We see Reed doing it now.
Philip Reed with those swivel hips picks up the first down. And we saw some jumping on both sides. I think they may get the offense for procedure here.
That looked like a rugby scrum.
Yeah. I think they saw those Wolverines crowding the neutral zone.
Snap, ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Gary Darnell mentioned last year, you know, they had this ball game. It was 17-7 Michigan late in the first half. And a couple of key plays, turnover penalties, big plays made by Michigan really turned that game around. Penalties, these two teams have combined for 9 here today. I don't think Lloyd Carr will like that number for Michigan. First and 15. Munson looking around. Now threads the needle, and a good catch made, and then the ball pops loose, and it's Michigan football. The tight end Anthony Kiner made the reception and then literally got mugged out there.
Troy Scheffler, the backup tight end, was in on that one. He looked like Kiner, but as soon as he caught the ball, man, he had got a blow was delivered to him. He comes across the middle. Munson has to step up in the pocket, and you're going to see the backup tight end Scheffler catches the ball, and then as soon as he does, he takes a shot.
You're right. It was Scheffler on the reception, and then picking it up was Victor Hobson. But that was a thunderous hit. Now Michigan back on the field offensively. Here comes Underwood. Underwood getting about almost 4 yards, just inside the 40-yard line.
This is the perfect part of the field where Michigan would normally come back with a play-action pass and really go deep to either Bellamy in most cases, but also Braylon Edwards.
A little chalkboard work going on the Michigan sidelines.
Great X's and O's. You see right there where they're telling the guys to go on the blitz. I mean, that's a perfect diagram of what these defenders have been doing today against this Western Michigan defense.
Second down. Andy Minery in motion. Underwood showed some pretty good quickness at the point of attack there. Sia Faliofo almost had him in the backfield, but couldn't quite catch him. And it gained him a few more yards.
His motor's always running. You know, you talk to the coaches there, Jim Knowles in particular. He says, hey, 92, whenever he's in the game, he's always going to be around the football. Out of Hawaii, came to them out of the College of the Canyons.
Out in California, part of that West Coast connection they've got going at Western Michigan. Third down for Michigan, and Navarre needs a timeout. Was running out of time on the play clock. Third quarter, about halfway through. Michigan plays on a hefty lead. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN Plus. Michigan leading big and threatening once again as the result of a fumble by the third-string tight end Tony Schembechler that began this drive. He fumbled. It was recovered by Victor Hobson of Michigan in Business. You got to wonder what Western Michigan was doing going to a third-string tight end when you've got a guy who may play on Sunday someday at tight end at that position. Plowing forward, short yardage here down to about the 34. Michigan will face a fourth down. And David Underwood on the carry.
The Western guys are saying he didn't quite make it, but I'm sure Michigan will be interesting to see what they call here. So go for it.
Fourth down. Well, you're leading 28-6. You really don't need 3 points here.
I agree. I agree. And then also, too, can you capitalize on fourth down conversion?
Sure. Give you an opportunity to work on the short yardage. And they've got Sanderson, the big fullback, in there ahead of Underwood. They're going to Underwood. Up the middle he goes, and he plows forward, and looks like he's got the first down now. Malloy got in from the linebacking core. Also in on that tackle, Faliofo.
Initial hit, he would not have gotten it, but David Underwood, again, when you watch other guys run, you know, running backs say they like to look at other people and how their style. They may try to emulate a little bit of it, but David Underwood has had a lot of chances to see Chris Perry these last two games as well as last year run the football.
Michigan last year, Charles, averaged just 143 yards rushing per game. Second worst mark for a Wolverine squad since 1963. As a matter of fact, they only had two 100-yard running games by one of their backs, and both were by B.J. Askew last year. Underwood gets the call here. He had just two last year. Now, if you take a look at Perry, already today 118 yards and 17 carries. It's his second consecutive 100-yard rushing day. The emphasis in the Michigan camp was to return offensively to running the football and not just investing carries and play selection, but really making it work, and that is running effectively.
Well, in order to run the football, you have to stick with it. And last week was a good balance, 36 and 39. And then today, when you're up like this, you just run the football, 31-21, and run the pass.
Navarre hit by Babin as he let that one go in the direction of Japru near the 15-yard line.
We call Babin's name a lot today. I mean, he has been around the football, whether it's in the backfield, tackling guys like Navarre, or, you know, blocking balls down on that touchdown run by B.J. Askew. He was in the backfield and had a chance at Navarre.
Very athletic. Darnell says he has a running back speed and a tackler's strength.
And what better when a guy's from Paw Paw, Michigan?
Yeah.
I just like saying that, Paw Paw, Michigan.
It's a good place for a football player to be from, isn't it? Sounds good. Third down for Michigan. Navarre. Lots of time. Going over the top, and Calvin Bell can't quite catch up with that one. Would have had a first and goal inside the 10-yard line. So fourth down.
Well, Calvin Bell, we talked about him being a good player, and he's got excellent speed and runs good routes. Right there, just a little bit too long for him. The junior out of Simi Valley, California. He's another guy from California, out of the Valley.
Was that Simi Valley, you said?
Simi Valley.
Philip Brabs. And this will be a 47-yard field goal attempt. He missed from 51 yards earlier. He's got the leg strength. Does he have on line? No. He had a line drive, a low liner of a kick there, and misses his second field goal of the game. I will maintain, however, it's not the fourth quarter yet. The game's not on the line. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN Plus. Western Michigan resumes offensively. John Drock in at quarterback. We've seen both Chad Munson and John Drock. And Gary Darnell mentioned he would alternate his quarterbacks till they get to conference season in a few weeks. Drock stepping up here and knocked away from behind by Norman Hoyer. And I believe Drock got it back. He did. Boy, you know, and it's not just sacks. Jim Herman mentioned this to us because Michigan was criticized for not getting a lot of pressure on the Washington quarterback last week, Pickett. But they had 2 sacks, but they had a lot of pressures, and they've had an awful lot of pressures along with the sacks here today.
And a lot of times when you just hit the quarterback or you're around his feet or you're just bothering him like that, knocking the ball out of his hands, that's even worse sometimes than a sack itself.
Of course, this will go as a fumble and a sack. Loss of about 4. Drock under a blitz. They come back to Thomas. Antonio Thomas, the junior out of South Bay, Florida, caught a couple of touchdown passes last week against Indiana State. Larry Stevens made the stop.
Antonio Thomas is saying, put the ball down. don't leave me out to dry, because this defense is too effective. 7 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. I mean, this is why the score is 28-6.
I think they'll be happy with the sack total here in Wolverine country tomorrow. 3rd down and about 9. Getting into the later stages, 3rd quarter. John Drock, they were coming with a corner blitz. That left a man open, and he overshot him, incomplete.
Drock has been really off here in this. You know, I don't know if his elbow is starting to hurt him. He came in with a tender elbow, and that's one of the reasons why Chad Munson, you can see his arm is wrapped up.
Yep.
Really struggled with it, and when he goes in and out, that may be the reason why. He gets cold and he tries to come back and throw the ball. He hadn't thrown it effectively in the second half at all.
Drock 6 of 11 for the game, 50 yards. He missed Tyrone Walker on that play. Back out in punt formation, Anderson. Julius Curry back deep. Anderson able to get this one away. Good leverage into it, but it's shanked toward the far sidelines, and Michigan will have excellent field position again to start a drive. And Charles, they've started the majority of their drives beyond the Michigan 40-yard line.
They have really had a chance to have great field position, like you say, and Western Michigan either has given up bad punts or the return game for Michigan has been great.
23-yard punt there. John Navarre gets some last-minute words as he heads back in. Just a beautiful sunshiny day in early September at Michigan Stadium. The Wolverines, nationally ranked 7th overall, looking to go 2-0. First down just short of the 45 of Michigan. And up the middle, short gain for Tim Bracken. We talked of him earlier. Highly regarded recruit 2 years ago. It's a couple of yards. Brian Late makes the stop. Broken femur last year, missed the entire season.
And I think when people don't really understand that, that's in your thigh. And when you break that, it's awful hard to come back from it. He's come back great. They say he's rehabbed well, and they're excited about him getting back into the fold.
Now, he would have gotten a significant playing time last year with all the injuries they had in the backfield. 2nd down. Bracken again. Boy, he shows good vision, doesn't he? Little hesitation move, patient runner, and then accelerates. Carr and Robinson make the stop. First down into Western territory.
Well, when you talk about the running backs, you have to give Fred Jackson, the assistant head coach, running back coach as well. He teaches these guys this thing you do. You get in there, you find the opening, and then you hit it. You don't waste time. If you're a Michigan running back, you have to run with power and authority like you have in the past.
Michigan last week 150 yards against Washington, 174 yards rushing today. On first down from the 41. Incomplete. It looked like Butler got his hands on it, but could not hang on. Reynolds was there, along with Christian Hodges for Western Michigan.
Well, he took a shot. Tyrese Butler, another guy that's coming back from injury. Had a bad knee injury, and right here he doesn't get a chance to haul it in.
Ooh, look at that hit. Christian Hodges laid the wood to him.
You might as well catch it if Christian Hodges is going to come over the top and hit you like that.
Oh, man. This is a contact sport, isn't it? 2nd and 10. Not much there for Timmy Bracken that time. So it'll be third down at about 9 for Michigan as the mid portion of the Bronco defense rises to the occasion.
I'll tell you, on that play, Bracken doesn't get many yards, but Sean Sanderson, again, he's playing with the club on his hand, struggling with, I think, a broken thumb. But every time he gets in the game, the defensive guys are going the other way.
Yeah, he's got a broken left thumb, and he's got a big wrap on that hand.
That just gives him more momentum.
Yeah,
he
got a club out there, doesn't he? Third down and 9. Here comes Babin on the pass rush. Navarre able to get it away, going for Edwards. Touchdown! He beat Reynolds down the sidelines in a pretty throw by John Navarre. 39 yards, second touchdown of the day for Edwards.
Well, let's see. Sam Reynolds is out of Detroit at Northwestern, and Braylon Edwards is out of Bishop Gallagher in Detroit. I'm sure they've come across each other's paths somewhere, and right there, Braylon Edwards won that matchup. Wow.
He shoved it into an extra gear, didn't he?
You know, he has that gear, but it never looks like he's running. He's so athletic and so fluid that you think he's not going that fast.
Oh, he's 6'5". He's 6'5", but as you mentioned, very fluid, so it doesn't look like he's moving as fast as he is. And we were with an NFL scout yesterday, and that was the comment that was made. Doesn't look like he's running that fast, but boy, he's moving away from people. And the extra point is good. Impressive touchdown reception. Braylon Edwards on a pretty throw from John Navarre, capping a 5-play, 55-yard drive.
tell you, Braylon Edwards reminds you a lot of, I don't know if you remember Mike Sherrard at UCLA. He was the same way. Yep. Tall, rangy guy. Didn't ever look like he was fast, but Mike ran a 4.38. Braylon Edwards, you know, they talk about Ronald Bellamy. He and Bellamy are going to be battling to see who can be the deep threat.
Watch Reynolds here. Hard to believe he doesn't get a hand on that.
He's right there in position. That's when you talk about a defensive guy making the play at the point. He has a chance, but Braylon Edwards, great concentration, because you're right. Sam Reynolds is right there. His hand is in position, but he doesn't come up with the play. And good throw. John Navarre again. We got to give him credit. It's a nice, pretty pass. Look at this rotation on that ball. Right in the pocket, right where it needs to be. He made a bad throw earlier, but he comes back with another good throw. And let's give credit to the quarterback coach, Scott Leffler. Terry Malone said this is one of the reasons. You see college coaches now using quarterback coaches more, and I think that's why guys are so efficient going into the pros.
And again, it gets back into what was Terry Malone? He's an offensive line coach. He's not played quarterback, so he's got a guy in Leffler who's played quarterback, and this is where you can really teach a quarterback, you know, what needs to be done. I think that's very effective, very smart on the part of the Michigan staff to have a quarterback's coach in this situation. Jennings out across the 25-yard line.
And one other point to that, a quarterback that played at Michigan and understands what it takes here. On the other side at Western, you have Daniel Enos, who played at Michigan State. So you get guys that understand how to play the game on the college level and that have been very effective at that level.
I got to know Jim Harbaugh very well over the years when I was in Chicago, and he talked about the fact that the Michigan quarterback has more pressure on him than any other athlete in Michigan, especially more so than the Lions quarterback.
Well, when Jimmy was at the Colts with me, that was one of the things. When we get on that stretch drive in '95, he had no problem with the pressure because he said, I played at the big house.
Not only that, I played under Bo Schembechler.
Oh, yeah, well,
and there was some pressure there. You know, that's what he said. When he came to Chicago to play under Mike Ditka, he said, Mike Ditka, I played under Bo Schembechler. Mike Ditka, you know, he's not going to be any tougher on me than Bo Schembechler was. Nice play there, but incomplete pass. We're at Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the big house, Michigan Stadium, Western Michigan and 7th-ranked Michigan. Along with Charles Arbuckle, I'm Wayne Larrivee. 2nd and 10 coming up for Western Michigan in the final 2.5 minutes of this third quarter, with Michigan leading 35-6. Chad Munson at quarterback. Jennings in motion. This is Reed. On occasion and on usually delay plays, they've gotten some decent yardage. Larry Stevens makes the stop there on Philip Reed, a gain of almost 5 yards.
Well, when the score is like this, you have to get the bulk of it back in small chunks, and Western has to find some efficiency in the passing game. They haven't done a very good job of getting the ball in the second half or even the second quarter to their tight end, who was so effective early. Michigan has kind of taken that away from them, but they also need to get Jermaine Lewis in the ball game as well.
Reed 61 yards on 11 carries. Third down for Western Michigan. And Munson. Jermaine Lewis fumbles the football. It's up for grabs near the 49-yard line. I believe the Broncos got it back, but let's see.
That was a great block by Antonio Thomas. But what did we say yesterday on film? These guys from Michigan, what do? I mean, they hit you.
Sure.
Jermaine Lewis running across the middle of the field. And this is a great block right there. But good job of getting inside. Julius Curry was getting blocked there, and he looks like he's trying to get, everybody's trying to get in there, but Jermaine Lewis as well as Antonio Thomas were able to come back up with the football. Good patience by Munson, and Jermaine Lewis running in the open field. Good block right there.
There's the hit.
Yep.
That was a Cato. No, that was Edwards on the hit.
Brandon Williams, I think.
Williams,
yeah,
I beg your pardon.
He was underneath. It was hard to see who he was. But
fifth fumble for Western. They've only lost one, but they've had 5 fumbles in this game. Philip Reed utilizing a block. Nice run here. Reed stiff arms his way past Williams down the sidelines. Philip Reed countered out of bounds at the 16-yard line of Michigan.
And this is where the Michigan coaches are going to say, this is where we can't relax. You know, Western has been down a little bit. They haven't really done anything. And then Philip Reed showed some speed. Brandon Williams, he tries to stiff arm him and gets around him. We didn't see this on film out of Reed. He was injured last year, and the first game of the season looked tentative on some of his cuts. But today he is running with authority.
33 yards on that carry. He's up to 94 yards rushing. First down to the 16-yard line of Michigan. Inside a minute 30 to go in this third quarter. Munson to the air. In the end zone, Jermaine Lewis, his second touchdown of the game.
We just said who to get the ball to. I think they're listening to us down there, Wayne. Jermaine Lewis.
16-yard touchdown play. And that was a beautiful throw. I'll tell you what, Chad Munson, we watched him on tape from the game last week against Indiana State. He was very impressive there. Nice throw here.
He does have a great arm, and I think that's why he's in the ball game. He is able to make the throws that Drock is struggling with right now. And that's why they want to see both of them. Also give Drock a chance to get an opportunity to rest a little bit. Jermaine Lewis is shaking up on that play, and they're going for 2.
Well, they're trailing 35-12. And they missed a point after touchdown earlier, obviously. It's their second touchdown of the day. They missed the PAT because of the mishandled snap
when it works
on the extra point try, and then misfired on a pass into the end zone.
It works out well also that Michigan calls the penalty, I mean, calls the timeout. He's standing in this pocket with a window, and he gets hit on the throw. And the defensive back right there gets the ball off. Shante Orr again in that backfield. Both guys, look at this. Munson's going to get hit, and Lewis is going to get hit, but they're able to come up with, you're right, that's right between the 1 and the 1. You couldn't ask for a better throw.
Munson 4 TD passes a week ago in his debut against Indiana State. And an impressive drive right here. And Western Michigan will be going for 2 to try to get that point after they missed earlier.
Wayne, we'll talk about it. I mean, he went to Compton Junior College, and going to UCLA, I'm familiar with some of those. Long Beach City College and Santa Monica City College, LA Southwest College. There's a lot of talented guys out of there. It's just the problem of getting them to come up to the next level if they can make the grades. But they all have a lot of talent. It's a lot of competition at some of those schools, just like there are in some other junior college areas, but I'm just more familiar with it because going to school there, you had kids come from those schools and help you out.
Well, let's see what they try here. Munson, a pretty good day in the big house. 9 of 13, 118, a couple of TDs. Going for 2. We're going to watch a Ferry-Ogun on the wing on the near side. He's the man in motion. That's the tight end. Munson tried to thread the needle over the middle there with nothing there. That play was broken up by Scott McClintock, a linebacker. So the conversion attempt fails, and it remains 35-12 Michigan. Always a good-looking crowd at the big house.
soaking up a lot of sun today. Lloyd Carr said it best yesterday. He said, you know, if we win this game, we're supposed to win. If they play us tough and you know, it happens that we lose, that's the worst thing. So, I mean, it's a catch-22. And he talked about all the reasons why the MAC schools are getting better as well. I mean, it's just a matter of attrition and scholarships first. And then you have guys that are better conditioned athletes. And then you can't hit as much during the season because you don't have 120 on your roster.
And again, as we talked earlier, MAC schools are making an investment in their football programs. Obviously, at Marshall and Miami of Ohio's had a very good program. Western has an excellent program. There are a lot of schools in this conference now that are trying to take it to the next level. And part of that is playing in the Big House, playing in Michigan against the Wolverines. Jeremy Lesor brought down short of the 20-yard line. Nice open field tackle made.
I think it's playing here, but also being competitive when you come.
Alex Gardner, a wide receiver, made the hit. Well, you know, Gary Darnell has said, hey, listen, we're beyond the point now where we take moral victories.
Yeah.
And he also said, we're nobody's doorman. We're not going to just lay down. Now, they very easily could have laid down, getting buried by Michigan 35-6, but they put together a nice little drive there, at least getting something out of this.
I like your point earlier about how football teams with tradition don't change, and you look at Michigan and some of the other schools, how their jerseys and everything stay the same, and that's the consistency factor.
Bracken, not a whole lot there to begin with. Tim Bracken getting some work here in the third quarter as time winds down. Well, you're right. The Michigan Wolverine uniform hasn't changed. Penn State, they don't change their uniforms. Ohio State's essentially the same. You go on down the line. I mean, you look at the pro level, the Green Bay Packers, the New York Yankees, they don't change their uniforms every 3 or 4 years for marketing.
All the Baltimore Colts, now Indianapolis Colts, they don't change. They like to keep that horseshoe or whatever it is you have. You want to keep it.
Second down. Bracken again. Could not run through that tackle attempt by Jason Babin, fifth-year senior.
Every time you have a football, you might as well just put Jason Babin next to it or stuck on it, because he's like stick him on that football. He just stays around it.
His dad played for the Shreveport Steamers of the World Football League, and his brother JJ played at Arizona. Time winding down, third quarter here at Michigan Stadium on a warm, sun-splashed afternoon. The Michigan Wolverines have had things their way thus far, leading 35-12. Fourth quarter coming up. Just outside Michigan Stadium, that Granite M. And there it is in blue and maize. First down for the Michigan Wolverines. Now make a third down for Michigan as we start the fourth quarter. John Nabat in the pocket, hit and sack. Good persistence there by Jason Babin once again. He rode off his blocker and got to the quarterback back at the 20-yard line. He is a good player.
He is, and you have now a team like Western Michigan that feels like we scored a couple of times. If we can stop them on offense, maybe we can do something.
Greg Jennings back deep. Finley gets off an end-over-end kick. Jennings to the wide side. And Dayton DeBook, a tight end, got over to make the first hit of the play, across the 40-yard line to the 41. Today's scores are brought to you by National City Bank. Right here, Michigan leading 35-12. Elsewhere, Illinois in the third quarter now over Southern Miss on the road. Iowa by 5 at the expense of Miami of Ohio, and then Ohio State rolling pretty well today. Wisconsin's had it its way. NC State over Navy. Michigan State trailing Rice now at halftime. And how about Notre Dame on top of Purdue? Michigan State having a tough time running the football. We're told just 14 rushing yards in the first half. Penalty marker down here on this Philip Reed spin to a first down. I believe they're going to get somebody for holding.
See, every time they have a big play, it's always brought back.
Well, we're getting into the fourth quarter now, obviously, in this ball game, and you've got the Michigan program and the depth they have, and Well, it's a false start against, not a hold, but a false start against Western Michigan. Where you see the difference in Big Ten school as opposed to MAC school is usually in the fourth quarter, when if it's a tight ball game, and this is not a close ball game by any stretch, but usually then the Big Ten team will wear down the MAC school.
Only 6 players on the line of scrimmage on the offense. 5 yards from the previous spot, remains first down.
The depth for Michigan and the heat as well. It's awful hot today. That factors in as well.
Now that's not saying anything derogatory about the MAC schools whatsoever. Their programs are building. Oh, good catch out on the flank here. That was not easy. Jennings running away from the quarterback, had to make a fingertip catch, and he's close to the first down near the Michigan 49-yard line. Greg Jennings, 14-yard gain.
Right out of Kalamazoo Central High School, and they are really happy to have a guy like Greg Jennings. He is a phenomenal athlete and decided to stay at home at Western. Great catch, like you said, Wayne, reaching out, snagging the ball, and picking up almost a first down.
Last year rated as the 5th best recruit in the MAC by the Sporting News. Greg Jennings. That's Jermaine Lewis at the top of your screen. Antonio Thomas in motion. Incomplete.
You know, you can see the body language of Mobilaji Ferriogan. He's running deep, and he's, basically not getting a chance to get the ball. And he's from Detroit as well, Renaissance High School. So you see him jabbering a little bit with Marcus Curry, who's also out of Detroit. A lot of connections here between these two teams, being so close, and recruiting battles and getting different guys. And, you know who can play it in your hometown when you're high school, and you really know when you get to college.
Mobilaji, 3 receptions for 36 yards here this afternoon, all of which came in the first half. 2 of those catches came in the opening drive of the game. 3rd and short. Philip Reed, penalty markers are down. Looked like that flag will be for holding. Reed lost a yard on the play, or 2. Carl Diggs was in there to stuff it for Michigan. Penalty against Western.
And I would imagine that Michigan's going to decline because it would make it 4th down.
And if you're Gary Darnell.
On the offense, penalty is declined, 4th down.
If you're Gary Darnell, why not go for it?
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, here you only have so many possessions now, and you got to take advantage of them. The other thing is you were so close, you tried the pass, it didn't work, then you come back to the run. I thought they would go again with the pass and really look for one of the tight ends in on the out arrow route.
Chad Munson, the junior college transfer at quarterback. Ferriogun in motion. Munson looking that way. He's got the tight end. First down. Absorbed a big hit. Lost the football, but the catch had been made. And the play had been whistled dead. Apparently before the fumble, they ruled it a catch. And let's see.
That was a shot. These defensive backs from Michigan strike. They don't wait. They let you catch the ball, or they get there when the ball arrives.
A hit by Julius Curry. Oh, man. And that ball was lying there, and it was just picked up by Charles Drake.
It didn't look like he had possession of that one. I think they gave him a gift.
And the other factor is this, it looked like if you're going to rule possession, don't you have to rule fumble on that?
That's right.
I would think so. First down. They mark it to the 48-yard line, Michigan territory. Philip Reed got a yard. Let's look at that previous play.
Take a look here. You say, Wayne, the players make their best improvement from game 1 to game 2. Let's think the officials do the same. The ball is laying there, and Ferriogun is trying to reach for it. That was it looked like a close one. Cato June comes up with a nice shot on him, though.
They had to rule that he was down by contact before the ball came out, and
it looked awful close.
That was a good look on the replay of it, and it was close even on the replay. So second down at about 9. Munson on the slant. Take a look at that previous play again. He's got it there, and it came out before he hit the ground.
Yeah.
But we had 3 replays to look at.
Well, that side judge, I mean, for him to make that call in fast motion, that's a tough call.
The ball came out.
Yeah.
to the official's blind side, essentially. I mean, the players screen the official from being able to see that clearly. Third down here for Western. Empty backfield behind Munson. Hit by Marlon Jackson, and they are ruling the play dead before the fumble. And Reed was hit hard, and he is holding his right leg.
Yeah, he took a shot.
We haven't called Marlon Jackson's name very often here today, but that was a thunderous hit by the Michigan cornerback.
And he's telling his guys to step it up. Reed took a shot.
It is going to be fourth down. They rule the football down at the 41-yard line. Watch it again.
Marlon Jackson is just sitting there in that hole.
Oh, he just bent him back.
Yeah. And he looks like he's grabbing his, somewhere in his arm, his left arm.
At first he was shaking and grabbing his right leg, and now, well, he just bent him back.
Yeah.
We'll check on Philip Reed when we return to Michigan Stadium. Wolverines on top in the last 12 minutes of the game. Philip Reed, pretty much under his own power, heads back to the bench, but he will not be in there for this fourth down play. Reed, 94 yards rushing and 14 carries, and he has a catch for 16 yards. Fourth down for Western Michigan. Fourth and about 3 at the Michigan 41. Over the middle, knocked down, incomplete. Marlon Jackson, who made the hit on the previous play, knocks it away from the tight end. Mobalaji Aferiogun, and it's Michigan football.
Well, Marlon Jackson, you put him in the area where you think the ball's going to go on the fourth and short. Generally, the offense is going to try to go right over the middle of the field if they don't work outside. He just slides over, makes a nice play on Mobalaji Aferiogun.
So Marlon Jackson comes up big on that series. And now the Michigan offense back on the field. A little over 11 minutes to go in the game. Michigan leading big. David Underwood, the tailback. Brinton is in at quarterback, and here's Underwood. Or I should say Brian Lape, the linebacker, got over to make the hit on that play. Gain of about 5 to the 46. Spencer Brinton is a junior out of Hemet, California, a left-hander, and originally signed and played at San Diego State. Made 5 starts for the Aztecs in 1997, threw for 1,097 yards, 6 to 10 touchdown to interception ratio, but has went on an LDS church mission in 99 and 2000 before joining the Michigan program. Second down, Underwood. Sanderson blocking in front. Look at Underwood push Sanderson forward. Said, go ahead, big guy. Get that guy. This penalty marker down.
I think big 74 Demetrius Solomon is going to be called for holding. But Sanderson, you're right, man. Every time he goes in the ball game, you know somebody's going to take a shot from him.
Look at that club he's got on the left hand. Is that legal? I guess it is, or it wouldn't be in the game. But
you know, he gets my lunch pail award. Yeah. He just brings it to work every day. It doesn't matter. He's hurt. He probably could wear a boot on his leg and still come out and hurt people.
He's a biscuit shy of 290.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards from the previous spot. Remains second down.
Chris Browning just came and gave the referee a little bit of love because he was being held.
Second down for Michigan. Second at about 15. Avent, the freshman, in motion. Brinton and the big kid. Oh, tough catch with that mitt he's got on the right.
They were trying to give him the biscuit you were talking about, Wayne. He just couldn't grab it.
Sanderson, tough catch when you have to do it basically with one hand.
They were trying to give him some credit here. He's been blocking all day and finally give him that biscuit. He just couldn't. He was thinking about the syrup and the bacon and everything else, and golly, he wanted that back.
He almost tipped it to himself, yeah. Third down for the Michigan Wolverines. Coming up on 10 minutes to go in the game. 6 for 12 today. Nice 50% for Michigan. Jason Avon in motion. Brinton under some pressure, sets up the screen, and Bracken unable to handle it.
The rhythm of the offense is kind of thrown off. You have a lot of new guys in there as well as backup linemen, so they have to get comfortable with each other in that first possession. We've seen different people sprinkled in. That was the first time we've seen everybody in that second unit generally in the ball game.
Lloyd Carr mentioned you need games like this, especially early in the season. Not only to get your backups into the game, it helps morale, he says, but also it helps build depth. I mean, you get these kids experience. Adam Finley in punt formation under no pressure. Beautiful spiral. Greg Jennings back to the 11 and the 10-yard line. Now here he comes. Didn't get past the 15. So first down coming up. Ernest Schembechler in on that stop for Michigan. Western takes over, trailing 35-12 with 9:58 to go.
Planning to.
Wayne Larrabee, Charles Arbuckle, welcome back to Michigan. Western starting this drive at its 15-yard line. Munson to the air. Oh, he's got Christopher Chestnut wide open down the Michigan sidelines and out of bounds in Wolverine territory near the 46-yard line of Michigan.
Great job of Brian Rock of flooding the zone. You have Mobilaji Ferriogan, Chris Chestnut, and Jermaine Lewis all on that side, and they're working that zone. And Chad Munson has just thrown a nice ball. He really gets the receiver wide open in that cover 2 area because you have so many people over there they can't cover.
39-yard pass play. Well, it's going to be an open competition, I guess, through the non-conference games between Chad Munson and John Drock. And as you mentioned, Charles Drock playing with a tender elbow. Munson has looked the better in these first 2 games. And that should be offsides on Michigan. Jumping into the neutral zone, John Wood. Wood, a 5th-year senior out of Cincinnati, getting an opportunity to play here.
Prior to the snap, offside by contact on the defense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
There's another guy that Western has as a backup quarterback, and that's Blaine Baggett, who is also a highly touted freshman.
So 1st and 5, just outside the Michigan 40. There's Munson's numbers. Tough run here for Daniel Marks, a redshirt freshman out of Miami Beach. Julius Curry came in to make the hit. The one thing we've seen here from this Michigan defense, they will hit, and they will hit with some thunder.
They weren't hitting like that at the last part of last season.
No.
You know, and we talked about that yesterday. Jim Herman talked about it. He wanted to see his guys tackle with authority, not miss tackles, and when they tackle somebody, try to get the ball out.
Well, and again, you know, that's the big thing. Last year they had some decent yardage statistics defensively, but they didn't force many turnovers. This year, today, we've seen them force 5 fumbles. Now, they haven't recovered all of them, but they forced them. And again, it looks like the Wolverines in the neutral zone there. Marks gets the first down anyway.
And I think they're going with a little bit more basic principle of cover 2 when you can bring the safeties down. You see Cato June and Marcus Curry. You have the flexibility with guys that are physical to move them in the backfield.
Offside defense. Penalty will be accepted. First down.
Elaine Kashama, the guilty party, apparently. He comes to the sidelines.
You know, they're able to bring guys into a cornerback role as well as a cover position because their flexibility. And I think that's what they like. That's why they can blitz so much, because they have confidence in those secondary guys that can cover.
So it's first down for Western Michigan at the Wolverine 31. They empty the backfield behind Munson. Here comes the rush. Shante Orr got a piece of it, intercepted, and rumbling down the middle of the field. Dan Rumashek to the Western 36-yard line. Look what I found.
And how many times did Shante Orr tip the ball, come close to blocking? He almost blocked the field goal earlier. It's because he times it perfectly.
23-yard return. Get the big fella some oxygen.
Great job by Dan Rumashek. But look at that, Shante Orr. If you can't get to him, defensive linemen are taught, put your hands up. Well, the other guys that can benefit from that is Big Rumashek. Look at him tucking the ball away when he feels the pressure coming. Rumble, young man, rumble.
All right, Michigan back on the field offensively. Bracken on the sweep. Gets it down to about the 34-yard line. We are at Michigan Stadium on a gorgeous sun-splashed afternoon for college football. And in this historic building, it is cross-state rivals. Western Michigan and Michigan doing battle. Wayne Larrabee, Charles Arbuckle. Let's take a look at the storyline for this afternoon's game. And as we expected, Michigan would dominate here today. John Navarre, outstanding ball game. The 4 touchdown passes equals a single game record for Michigan. They get out to the big 21-0 lead, and they've played on that lead ever since. Spencer Britton takes it himself. He didn't go into any kind of a tuck or slide. He absorbed a hit, picks up about 5 yards.
Tell you what, the guys on Western's coming up also. Justin Malloy, I think, hurt himself. He tried to hit Spencer Britton so hard.
So out comes the trainer to have a look.
Jason was coming up with full authority, and Spencer didn't quite get down. I thought the shot was going to be worse than what it was.
Here's a chance for some merriment on the Michigan sidelines of the members of the band and students. And we've seen some hitting out there today. There's been no doubt about that. The wood has been laid in the big house. Michigan has delivered most of it.
When it comes to customer service, a lot of stores speak a foreign language. Instead of, may I help you? And yes, we can. They say, I don't know. We don't do that. Or, hey, I'm on a...
Back at Michigan, Malloy, the linebacker, was shaken up on the play, heads off. And here we go. 3rd down for Michigan. About 2 yards to go. Underwood got hit in the middle of the line that time, and Chris Browning got over there. And I'm not sure he got the first down. Here was the injury on the previous play. Watch this. Malloy comes in high and basically a glancing blow on Navarre, but it is Christoffel, Andy Christoffel, the offensive lineman behind the play, who wiped out the linebacker.
And then put his knee right in the stomach.
It is 4th down for Michigan, about a yard to go. They're going for it. Wherever Sanderson goes, the back will follow. He did, but so did the defense. And they stopped Michigan at the 29-yard line. A loss of 1 short of the first down. David Underwood unable to pick it up. Brian Lape and Sam Reynolds, a linebacker and a defensive back in support. So the kids from Kalamazoo can take a little solace out of that one.
But and with this offense, wherever that fullback goes, like Sanderson, you know that's generally where that ball's going to follow. So if you can get there and make a play, Felposs does a great job of taking on Sanderson from the outside. He doesn't try to take him on head up, and that slows all of that stuff down right in there.
Yeah, and again, you've got that Felposs sacrificed himself so the other 2 guys could get the tackle. And that's part of what it's all about, teamwork in defensive football. Munson comes up throwing. Romashek knocked it down. Goodness.
I thought he was going to knock that one back to himself.
I thought so, too. I thought it was a tip drill he was running out there.
Munson started out strong this quarter, and then Romashek and Shante Orr have just been his worst nightmare.
Yeah. Well, Romo gets a little bit of a break in the huddle there. Dan Romashek, 5th-year senior, Coral Springs, Florida. Is a media choice, first team all Big Ten. I think the coaches will give him a nod this year if he continues to have this kind of a season. Good run right here. Trevon Riley, who had a decent game against Indiana State, made a couple of plays last week. Picks up a first down to the Western 40-yard line on an 11-yard gain.
Looked like he got twisted up a little bit, maybe ankle or knee.
He's limping a little bit as he heads back. Philip Reed already went out with an injury. Trevon Riley, a redshirt freshman, Kankakee, Illinois. He and Daniel Marks have been gunning for that backup position to Philip Reed. First down for Western Michigan. Inside of 7 minutes to go in the game. And they empty the backfield behind Munson. Short drop on the slant. He's got Walker. First down. Nice play. Good throw. Tyrone Walker on the reception. Ernest Shazor, the defensive back, made the stop for Michigan.
Chad Munson has a cannon. I mean, that ball comes out.
15-yard gain there. If you're going to throw the slant, you have got to throw it with authority.
Well, Tyrone Walker had, I mean, there were people around him, but he was still able to run and catch.
Yep.
After he caught that ball, he was able to run with it.
They've got some good athletes in this Western Michigan program. First down to the 44. Gary Darnell runs a quality program out in Kalamazoo. Trevon Riley with the penalty marker down for little or no gain. Scott McClintock, a linebacker, in on that tackle.
Wayne, you watch a lot of college football, and you can attest to this. Defensive linemen, how much more athletic they are now. Remashek and Orr and the things that they're able to do. Jason Babin, you know, Jeff Westgate on the other side. You talk about how guys are able to put their hands up or do things that you're not used to seeing a big guy normally do.
Well, it was always a game played. The big people inside played inside and stayed inside. They never got to the outside. And now you see, you want, you know, Michigan under Bo Schembechler and Ohio State under Woody, you know, they had the big linemen, the road graders, and they would just plow people in their way. Yeah. Now they go out and seek people, the linemen. They've got the quick feet, they've got movement, and yes, some of them are 300 pounds or close to it, as is the case with Michigan, but you want movement there, and of course on the defensive line the same way. And the reason you want quick offensive linemen, obviously, is because there's so much athletic ability now on the defensive line.
Yeah.
First down and long for Western. Well, I tell you what, Daniel Marks didn't have a chance there. He was met at the pass. Alex Ofili in on that tackle for Michigan, number 93.
Ofili just beats his man right away. I mean, there's no stopping. See his eyes. Look, boom, he's gone by 2. The double team, they don't have a chance against him. Big Chris Montgomery and looks like Jay Gassaway. He's able to split that and make the tackle. Great shot right there.
2nd and 23. That's Thomas in motion. Bunts into the air. Oh, great athletic play made by Ernest Shazor. Leaping up high. I don't know what he had on a vertical there, but it was pretty high. The pass intended for Walker on the near sidelines, who appeared to be open, but Shazor took it down.
6'4", 218-pound redshirt freshman out of Detroit MLK, and he was up.
Oh, man. He broke that play up, folks, about 6 yards in front of the receiver. That's hard to do.
He's a free safety that's got great size and a young guy. When Cato June leaves, I don't know if they're going to be hurting too much at that safety position with him.
They've got another athlete in that spot, don't they? 3rd and long. Chad Munson. And what you ask your wide receiver to do there is make a play, but he had 2 defenders on him right away. Jermaine Lewis could not escape Joey Sorrentos and Jeremy LeSueur.
And you talk about tradition. When you have a Charles Woodson that's come through and you look at these defensive backs, there's been a host of others, but just more immediately, those guys work with these young guys. They always go back to their programs and try to help them out, show them what it takes to get to the next level. I mean, you can talk about Trip Wellborn in the past. You can talk about some great athletes that you had here in Michigan, and that's what tradition does for a team.
Adam Anderson in punt formation. Kind of an end-over-end kick here. And it is Marcus Curry. He juggled it for a moment, and that allowed the defense to cover. And it'll be first down. Kevin Ford has had a heck of a day. He's made at least 3 tackles on special teams for Western Michigan today, but it's been all Wolverines. The number of people who were in here today. Last time they didn't have 100,000 back in 1975 against Indiana.
It's a lot of guests in your house, Wayne. I don't know about you. That takes a lot of cleaning up afterwards.
Puts a strain on the plumbing. Britton, oh, he's got his man wide open. And how about this rumble? Andy Minery, who up until last year, really through last year, was a quarterback, now moved to tight end. Jermaine Forrest made the stop. 25-yard gain. We were told we're going to see the junior from Hamilton, Ohio. Played in 4 career games as a quarterback here at Michigan.
How about Jay Remersman? that name ring a bell?
Yep. The last Michigan quarterback to convert to tight end was Jay Remersma, now with the Buffalo Bills.
And that was a great job by Spencer Brenton of looking outside and then coming back in. He allowed the defense to move over and complete that pass.
Spencer Britton still at quarterback. Avant in motion. And Britton looking. Little pitch and catch. They time to book. First, or close to the first down inside the 45 near the Western 44-yard line. A couple of yards short. 9-yard gain, get him a gain of 9, so a yard short of the first down. Take a look at the Wolverines schedule coming up. We mentioned you started out with Washington last week, then Western Michigan with a game coming up at Notre Dame. So this was a game the coaches were worried about, a sandwich game right here. Now look at what comes up after Notre Dame. That's a good Utah team coming in here, and then they go on the road to Illinois. So.
And they were supposed to play Oregon this year in that schedule, so wow.
Lloyd Carr said that was just crazy. And he was right. Bracken for short yardage. And of course, you saw they were starting a Big Ten play. There's no Northwestern on this schedule and no Indiana this year. They will both return next year. So Michigan with a very difficult road to the national championship this year.
And this is where you beat each other up. That's where the teams really, you may lose in September, but really when you get into that schedule in November, when guys get tired and they lose their focus, that's where the coaches have to really do their job and earn their money.
Quarterback keeper, Spencer Britton picks it up. 6'5", 225. These Michigan quarterbacks, if they're anything, Charles, they're big.
Oh, they are tall, big guys.
Yes.
Well, and Lloyd Carr talked about that with the schedule, how when he was playing, it was 8 or 9 games. Yeah. When I played, it was 10 or 11, and now you play 12 games. And if you go to the big championship games, that's 13 or 14, depending on what conference you're from.
And he talked about getting worn out, and not just physically, but mentally. You know, that's the thing. It's a physical game, but it's also a mental exercise as well. First down for the Wolverines at the 40. Britton, good-looking throw there, overshot the freshman receiver Jason Avant.
And another point on that, Wayne, is for guys that go to the pros, you play 4 games in the preseason. That's why, I mean, they're playing 12 or 13 in college. Think about it. That's a long season, because if you go to the pros, that's 20-some-odd games you'll play. It's tough to play a long season, and I think people don't realize how much you get beat up and how physical these guys are now, how fast.
Yep.
But your body breaks down at some point.
It's the speed. It's the speed in addition to the thunder they deliver on their hits that make the game today what it is. And it is a very painful game for many. Britton over the middle. Good throw. Tim Massacoy, a converted wide receiver. They are very high on his abilities as a tight end. Gets the first down on a gain of 12. Massacoy catches the ball perhaps as well as any of the Michigan tight ends. And they just look to get a little more beef on him. He's a redshirt freshman out of Pennsylvania, 230 pounds.
He was getting ready to make a nice move had he not gotten tackled.
So first down for the Michigan Wolverines. Bracton's gotten a workout here in the second half. Jermaine Forrest made the tackle inside the 25 near the 22-yard line. Gain of about 6. So Bracken at his first extended duty. 8 carries, 29 yards. Michigan second down. Here comes Bracken again. Oh, right through the hole. There's that explosion you were talking about, Charles. And he's got a first and goal just inside the 10-yard line of Western Michigan. 13-yard gain.
It looked like everybody else was moving in slow motion, and Bracken just firing through that hole. The defensive unit for Western is very tired. You can see him now, but that's why they're missing tackles. Look at him, arms reaching out, and Bracken is still fresh, but he is still moving fast.
That's what we talked about, the wear-down factor in a matchup between schools of this size and these types of programs. First down and goal to go. Event in motion. Bracken, they're trying to get him to the end zone. Inside the 5, down to the 4-yard line. Lape, the linebacker, Brian Lape, the senior from Jackson, Michigan, on the stop. And, you know, Western Michigan, Gary Darnell was talking about, approached by a lot of different people who play, you know, games on the road against, you know, you can go to Florida, you can go to Oklahoma, you can go any number of places. He said the one that this is special because our kids, most of them are from Michigan and dreamed of playing in Michigan Stadium, and they get an opportunity. But look at the tough September they have. This is what you do when you build a program from mid-level, try to take the next step up. You've got to go on the road and play some big people. Bracken still fighting. Ever closer down near the 1-yard line.
And you think about some of the programs like Virginia Tech. A few years ago, they weren't on the radar screen, and they have now become a powerhouse. People don't want to go to Blacksburg.
Well, you know who really started it years and years ago was Bobby Bowden. Florida State wasn't much 30 years ago, and he took over that program and little by little scheduled the big people.
Yeah.
Got big recruits in there, and all of a sudden, you know, there they are. But it takes time. It also takes a lot of time and a tremendous commitment, not just on the athletic program, but from the total school. Everybody. Michigan looking for the end zone to cap off this afternoon. Bracken lunging forward, even closer, but not quite there.
Great fight by the Western Michigan defense, and Michigan, you know, you got to get your guys a chance to play. You have to give them an opportunity to see if they can get it in there, and I think that's a good job by both of these ball clubs. They both fought hard.
They fought hard. There were some huge hits in this ball game here today. Michigan won as expected, but despite the final score of 35-12, Gary Darnell was right. His Broncos are no doormats, and they did not play like it here today.
No, they've closed the gap. In the past, this game would have been 55 to whatever, and now that's what you want to see. You want to see improvement out of your ball club, and every time you go down, can you play better? Can you get better when you play the big boys?
Tim Bracken, you saw the shot of him a moment ago. He was just inches from the end zone. It would have been his first career touchdown. We'll be back to wrap things up from Michigan Stadium, where the Wolverines have won 35-12. Michigan Wolverines extend their record to 2-0, knocking off Western Michigan 35-12 here this afternoon. So Michigan will take that 2-0 record on the road to Notre Dame next week. Elsewhere around the country, let's take a look at today's scores, brought to you by National City Bank. Southern Miss has taken the lead on Illinois in the fourth quarter. Iowa leading Miami of Ohio by a slim margin. Ohio State buried Kent State today. Wisconsin on top of West Virginia. North Carolina State rolling over Navy. And Texas A&M on the lead. Michigan State now trailing Rice in the third quarter, and Northwestern getting pummeled by TCU. And Purdue losing to Notre Dame. So all in all, there's some rough edges for the Big Ten in this second full weekend of the college football season. We'll be back with more from Michigan Stadium, where the Wolverines have prevailed today, 35-12. You're watching Big Ten football from ESPN+.
Thinking
Center's Room Group Factory Buyout Sale. Michigan knocks off Western Michigan here this afternoon at Ann Arbor, 35-12. And an interesting ball game in some respects. Michigan was able to do a lot of the things they wanted to do, but what impressed us also was that Gary Darnell's club hung in there. I mean, this could have been, Charles, like you said a few minutes ago, this could have been one of those 52-12 type games, but it really wasn't. They hung in there. They stopped Michigan on occasion and absorbed some punishing hits. Both sides really came out here and hit in the second week of the season, didn't they?
Very physical ball game, and we talked about it. Michigan being able to raise their level of intensity up. Would Western be able to challenge them? And for a while, they were able to do some of those things, but like you said, the numbers on the other side of Michigan were just way too strong, the depth at the end. But Western Michigan had a moral victory, if you want to give them one, at the end by holding Michigan out of the end zone.
Yeah, but of course, as Coach Darnell said, we're beyond moral victories for Western Michigan. The game really today, if you take a look at it, Western Michigan took the opening kickoff. They drove 10 plays. They took almost 4.5 minutes off the clock, and then a missed field goal, and they don't get any points out of that. Michigan takes over, motors down the field for the first score of the game, and that kind of set the tone. And Western Michigan had a terrible time getting its offense consistently on track, and really weren't able to do some of the things they had done on that first drive, like run effectively and then get the ball to the tight end, Mobilaji Aferiogun.
And before Reed got hurt, he was really running well. But I think the quarterback situation, you want to do it in the non-conference before you get into the conference. Use both of those guys. Drock's arm is a little bit troubled. Munson looked very well throwing the football. I mean, he was able to get the deep throws, the short throws. So that's the thing. And get it to your tight end. I'm sure they're going to do more of that in season. They really have to do that with the tougher matchup. Michigan, on the other hand, has to be consistent. They play Notre Dame next week. Notre Dame has a tough defense, but they also go to Utah or play Utah as well. And that's going to be a tough ball game. So they're in for a stretch drive themselves.
Yeah, they sure are. In the stretch drive, even before they get to the conference, stretch drive to the conference race. Take a look at some of the final stats for this afternoon's ball game here in Ann Arbor. And there you get a look at it. 220 rushing yards. Lloyd Carr and his Wolverines. Terry Malone are going to like that number. Passing yardage. Again, they had good balance offensively here and just one turnover.
And Navarre with the 4 touchdowns. And you look at Western, 325 yards. Great job by them. Would have had more, but the sacks took all of those rushing yards they had, and they discalculated those out of the Philip Reed's big game.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, Western ran the ball a little more effectively than those final stats would indicate. But Michigan put good pressure on the quarterback, as we've seen. And they are a defense this year. As we talked about earlier, Charles, they didn't force many turnovers. I believe 19 last year. They're going to force turnovers this year. They forced 3 today. However, they had 5 fumbles. The ball was on the ground 5 times. For Western Michigan, and that was the result of some impact hits by the Michigan defense.
And they do a great job of read and react and just keep everything in front of them and then attack the ball, whether it's the defensive backs, the linebackers, and even they're protecting themselves with the fact that they're having so many good defensive linemen that add pressure, and that makes it so much better for those guys in the secondary.
Well, we talked about the Michigan schedule coming up for those of you looking on from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Of course, Western Michigan will head to Purdue next week. Purdue playing at Notre Dame this week, and then perhaps the biggest game in recent memory at Western Michigan, at least non-conference game, Virginia Tech will come to town in Kalamazoo on September 28th.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Michigan getting better in this season, and they've done a great job of really playing good, solid football, and Western Michigan came into this house and played well in the big house.
Well, it was a big day for the Michigan offense. John Navarre, 4 touchdown passes. Braylon Edwards caught a couple of them. Big day for the defense as well, with 7 sacks here today. For Charles Arbuckle and our entire ESPN crew, this is Wayne Larrabee saying so long from Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the Wolverines have prevailed 35-12 over Western Michigan. This has been a presentation of ESPN Plus, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports television.